All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, the timer's not exactly there yet, but we're gonna cut away into our game here. Woo! And we're back with episode 2 proper of Heliotrope Cathedral, A Needle Made of Thread. We have Dan, our game master, in the top left corner there. My name's Fratscat, your resident Twitch streamer. Ted at the top right, Bill bottom left, and Kurt bottom right, joining us all. We will run through what happened on episode 1 and jump right back into the action, or inaction, as Dan does not really push us to anything definitive. He allows us to create a world and be interactive. My bad. Let me just throw you back in on the audio there. I had you. Sure. I had everybody muted. Do that one more time, okay. Dan.
Sure. So I think we should start off with every session with names and high concepts. So I'm Dan. I'm the GM. I am every aspect. Frats, lay it down.
I am playing Jonas. He is a gentleman you have come to know. His aspect, or high aspect, is that becoming a god is blasphemy until one succeeds.
Fantastic, Bill.
I am Verk, and I am the dim-witted pugilist of the pit.
Fantastic. Kurt?
I am Kurt. I'm playing Dabris, and there are no men like me or he.
Or he? Ted?
Ted, I'm playing Talab, and for my character, it is all in the pursuit of love.
Lovely. So we left last session having, we began last session on the deck of a ship called the Glass Domino. This ship is in a world of crucibles. This world of crucibles has the aspect, a crucible of flesh and spirit. Victory is not assured. In fact, it is quite unlikely in this world, but should you come out of it alive, you emerge the stronger for it. In this world of crucibles, our party is beset upon by a terrible storm and the assault of these oozy, black-toothed monsters from the deep, the likes of which this crew and captain have never seen. This captain, by the way, Captain Rilo of the Glass Domino, her high concept is Captain Rilo, luck on her side. Now, even though luck is on Captain Rilo's side, it comes to be revealed that there is a man aboard the ship who has killed an albatross 3 days in the past. Our intrepid thief slash soon to be assassin Davros finds out about this from the navigator. The navigator is the young girl with magical 7-foot prehensile hair that speaks a language they don't understand, but has bonded psychically with their strange fractal compass, which navigates the grave, and uses it to speak for her, and communicates that this truth that she has discovered about this world, that this man has killed an albatross, and this is a source of bad luck. Rather than waste any time investigating or determining why this man did what he did, or what his import is for the ship, Davros approaches the man stealthily and throws him off the ship into the storm. Problem solved. The storm begins to abate. The monsters begin to recede. The crew rallies. They finish off the monsters. There is great joy and celebration. However, a couple things. The mast was damaged, it seems, irreparably over the course of the storm. So Captain Rilo has sent a team to shore to locate a suitable tree to carve into a new mast. She notices that her first mate, Mr. Eve, is missing, and is very suspicious. To compound these suspicions, she finds that some of her men have acquired a strange illness after being bitten by these toothed, oily creatures. An illness which Talab, the Doctor of the Sands, has tried to heal, and has only succeeded in pausing the effects of the disease, and in I think 4 cases, the men were too far gone, going to succumb to this illness. These men that were on death's door are resident blasphemer Jonas killed using a poison of his own concoction to send them off to an early rest. Talab found out about this, and Captain Rilo found out about this. And regardless of the state of those men, she wants Jonas's head on a pike. She has sent Talab to do the job for her. In the middle of all of this, Jonas was trying to decipher an ancient text which seems to bear the location of something called the Rose Garden, the Old Rose Garden. In this Old Rose Garden is apparently a clue to the location of the Heliotrope Cathedral. This text is, by the way, the pilgrimage of St. August, an old myth that nonetheless Jonas believes bears some manner of truth. Our good friend Davros has stolen the text and hidden it upon his person for some reasons yet unknown. And while this is happening, the party has gone to the mainland with some of the ship's crew to find a mast for the ship. I'd like to retcon one thing very quickly. I actually want the captain to come with you guys. The captain's going to come with you on this. I want to keep people in the action as much as possible. And I want to remind you guys that in Fate, a couple of things. So you guys have access to these truth points, and I get 3 of them per session. And in my experience in Fate, 3 is a pretty good number to start with. But my Fate sessions have tended towards 6, sometimes even 7 hours. For a 3-hour game, which we're already 23 minutes deep into, I want you guys to be spending Fate a lot more. Because the more you spend it, the more you have to do things to earn them, which provides a really great impetus for play. If you've already got Fate in the background, or Truth in the background, I got to get used to that, then you don't have as much incentive to take risks because you've got this great safety net. When you're out of it, you're more likely to do things like succeed at cost, to take compels, which are really dramatically appropriate. So let's focus on using if there's a thing that you fail at and you want to succeed, don't think too hard. Don't take the view of this is my mega elixir. I have to save it for the boss battle. Just pop it. You can get more later. Furthermore, Keep in mind also that Fate is really a DM player 50-50 split. You can make aspects. You can tell me things about the world. When we come across a group of an NPC, you can name him. You can tell me what his aspects are. Now, some of them are very important ones. I might already have some, but if I don't know what this forest is like, and we're going to lead with that, by the way. In fact, let's jump right in. So you guys land on this beach. The forest is called the Beleaguered Forest. As you approach, what do you notice about this forest? So let's do this purely collaboratively. What is this forest like? What does it sound like, smell like, feel like? What kind of impression does it give you? Is there a creepy overtone to it? Is it otherwise completely innocent? Are there creatures that you can see? Let's describe this forest.
Very, very humid, overgrown vines hanging down off of the bark of the tree.
So jungle like
Yeah.
this forest. Okay. What else? What else about this forest? Why is it beleaguered?
For those of us that don't know what beleaguered means.
Beleaguered under assault. A city under siege is beleaguered. Maybe not active assault, but constantly under some kind of antagonistic pressure from something.
How about it's constantly fighting against the tempest that this area of waters that we were navigating, constantly under siege of inclement weather, and tornado / tsunami / ridiculous hurricane, I guess. High impact weather system. Not light rains. It's either going to pound the beaches or it's going to be extremely serene and calm.
Okay, so there's like that place in Brazil, I think. There's a thunderstorm that's been going on for however many dozens of years, and they don't know why. So this place is always under a tempest of some kind. If it's not happening right now, in the space of half an hour, it'll start back up again. So these trees are hardy. Many of them can withstand these tough conditions, and we can assume the flora and fauna in this humid, viney jungle area are acclimated to this. So always under siege from some tempest. Let's put that into the senior session aspect. So beleaguered. By the storms. Did not spell beleaguered correctly. What?
And are you typing that in the right spot?
I'm typing it under. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No. Uered. By storms. Constantly beleaguered by storms. Okay, so of those two things, that it's humid and jungly is important for the scene setting. I don't think we need an aspect about that. We can bring it up if we need to, but for now we'll keep it off of play. But as for play, beleaguered by storms, that's a good one. So there we go. You guys can invoke or compel that aspect as you see fit. In fact, as you land on the beach, you hear a distant peal of thunder, and you look up, and beyond you see roiling clouds preparing to begin their assault again. The ship is seemingly far enough away at anchor that it should avoid the worst of it, but you, having landed on this shore, quickly learn that there's no escape from this storm. So I think that's pretty good for the forest itself. That's why it's beleaguered. It's not known if this is any kind of strange but otherwise somehow scientifically explainable phenomenon, or if there's some magic at work here. Either way, sailors being superstitious try to avoid this area. Who knows what's causing it, but they don't like it. They don't want to be around these storms. As you guys land with Captain Rilo, a few choice men, and yourselves, the tone is tense. Captain Rilo is not a cruel captain. In fact, quite the opposite. She cares deeply about her crew, and her luck has carried them thus far. But to lose 5 men in one night is unheard of for her. 1 by mysterious means, and 4 by disease. Talab, you and her exchange probably a couple tense glances as she has tasked you with killing Jonas. You explicitly rejected that, but so there's tension there for sure. As you guys land, She looks from side to side, looks back at the crew, and just motions toward the forest, and you guys follow her in. Within this forest, what do you... Are you all... I imagine you're all on the lookout. You're all searching. Verk, I know your primary task is to find the most mast-worthy tree.
Yep.
What's everyone else doing as you travel through this forest? Just in one sentence, in general.
Keeping an eye on all of the crew just as much as I am the forest. So as far as I can see between the trees, just
Okay.
kind of scoping out the atmosphere and
Okay.
keeping an eye on. I'm not expecting to see anything suspicious, but keeping an eye on anything suspicious.
Sure. Jonas?
I'm I think I'm stuck in studying, but from memory. So I'm so drawn to the chapters of this book and the contents of this this child's fairy tale that I'm trying to recite from memory to try to see if I remember some of the more important points and kind of piece stuff together without the text in front of me.
And I'm going to confidently say that you have this memorized. It's especially back before we had the ability to record things easily. And I imagine in the world where you're from, and though you've traveled to many different worlds by now, paper and ink wasn't cheap, even though you were a scholar and it was somewhat available. In fact, you weren't a scholar originally. In your village, right? You were just a simple peasant.
No, I was highborn.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I apologize. Either way, you would have gone to then, it's even better, you would have gone to school and would have taught you, basically teaching you how to learn. So you'd have been very good at memorizing things. Not uncommon for scholars or clergymen of this time. So you have the vast majority of that text memorized, and you keep going over and over in your head. It helps that it's very poetic. There's rhyme and there's verse, which makes it easier to remember. And you keep kind of rolling over it. So you're not paying a lot of attention to what's around you. That's safe.
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah, he would sacrifice that.
Okay. And Talab, what are you doing?
I am looking around me, looking at surroundings. I did bring. I just want to note a sample of the slime. Me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I'm looking.
What is it in? Is it in like a vial, a pouch?
Yeah, it's in a glass jar.
Okay.
So that's all I'm looking at right now. I guess. What time is it? Is it dark?
It's late morning, but it is beginning to get very dark as the storm once again approaches. In fact, as you guys are walking, we'll just say the storm crashes down. It gets darker and darker and darker, but there's no sort of light rain to introduce it. It is just like that, a switch turned on, and you can hear a cacophony of rain, and you begin to hear what is perhaps hailstones hitting the trees above you. Now, Kurt said this is a pretty dense, thick, viney forest, so I'm going to say that you're not getting that much on you. It's the tops of the trees that are bearing the brunt of it. This forest has perhaps evolved for that purpose. The tree tops are kind of knitted together, almost like a web, and they're protecting you from this weather. And you begin to see little creatures scurrying in and out, and not too afraid of the hailstones. So they've clearly evolved to this weather as well. Davros, I'd like you to give me a notice roll.
That would be a total -1.
Ouch. So you don't see anything untoward. You're constantly distracted by the forest around you. But Jonas, I'd love for you to give me a lore roll, please.
Sure. Okay. All right. That's a negative. That's a -2.
So we're going to say, without even having to compel anything here, that this storm is distracting you guys. You're not used to this at all. You're having trouble focusing on whatever it is you're doing. Davros, unfortunately, this means that it is too late by the time you notice a thin gleam of metal flying out of the forest, and I'm going to make an attack roll on you. You do not get a roll here because you didn't see it. What is your athletics?
3.
Actually, no. Yeah, athletics. Okay. So, all right. That's actually not that bad. So I'm going to roll against a 3 athletics to see if I can hit you with this this arrow. I'm going to roll shoot. At a +2. 0. It just, you hear it whiz by you and thunk into a tree right behind you. And then a hail, let's say 4 more arrows, pepper the group, striking a couple of the men in the shoulder or the torso, 1 man in the leg, a couple more go into the trees. You realize that you are under assault from some unknown force. What do you do?
Can we tell what direction they're coming from?
They're coming from, let's say, the northwest. Deeper into the forest.
So from in front of us.
Yes.
I'm going to duck behind a tree, back to the tree.
All right, what do you guys do?
I'm wondering why he's ducking behind a tree.
You didn't even notice the arrow. That's right. All right, let's leave that there. Bill,
Are they visible from where
you
we're
don't
at?
see
or...
you don't see what's shooting you. No.
All right, yeah. Then I'll duck behind the tree then.
Okay. And Ted.
I'm sticking with Captain.
Okay. So whatever she does, you do.
Pretty much, yeah.
She
So I'm
calls.
mostly focused on my search, so
Okay.
I noticed.
She calls for the men to find cover. The men quickly either hobble or run behind the trees, and then everything's very quiet. And then another crash of thunder and hail. You see flashes of light from the darkness, lightning kind of peering through the trees. And I'm gonna put into this scene the aspect ambushed from the trees. Try as you might, you don't see where this is coming from. There's a lot of things at play here. There's very thick tree cover. There's a storm going on, and whoever these people are clearly well adapted to this area. So there's nothing that's visible to give you a hint as to who or what is firing. Frats, I'm going to shoot you again as you're sitting out there looking around and seeing what's going on here. I am going to roll against an ob-0 because you have no defense. You're not even remotely aware, less aware even than Davros. So I'm going to roll against an ob-0. A -1, and I have a +2, so a 1 total. You are hit for 1, sir. You probably want to tick off just your number 2 stress box, number 2 physical stress. Or you can take that as a 2-point consequence if you'd like. I imagine you take it as stress because consequences again are like wounds and stresses are vigor. So I imagine you take it as stress, right?
Sure.
Do you not understand the question?
Could have a cool wound.
I get the the difference between vigor and wounds as far as stress and consequences. I'm confused why you have me ticking the 2 box. All right, am I counting down to 0 stress?
You don't have a 1 box.
I literally have a 1 box.
Oh, do you? Oh my god, I'm sorry. Yes, you do. I apologize. So then you tick the 1. I apologize.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about. You said put it in the 2, and I was like, why am I skipping
Nope,
1?
you have a 1.
Got
okay. So the arrow just kind of like thunks into the folds of the thick woolen folds of your cloak, which you were too engrossed in your book to realize that it is not appropriate for the humid jungle weather, but it kind of sticks in there and just kind of knocks you back a little bit, and now you realize that you are being shot at. What do you do upon realizing this?
I make some sort of yelp and immediately search for Verk.
Okay. It's not hard. You see him. What did you say you were doing, Verk?
I duck behind a tree for cover.
Okay. You see him ducked behind a tree.
Yeah. Then I make a leap for that same cover.
Okay. Once you do that, you guys are all out of line of sight. Presumably, the hail of arrows stops. Make plays, guys. Start doing something.
I want to sneak around the from the direction that it was coming in. I'm going to try and flank, at least to try and get a visual on what shooting.
Okay. Roll me stealth.
That would be a 2.
All right. Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, I clicked too many dice. Ignore all of those. All right. As far as you can tell, you have not been noticed. As you creep through the underbrush, you kind of come around where the shots were coming from, and you look up and you don't see anything except for a thin shimmer of light, which for all you know is the lightning reflecting off of the leaves, but certainly no forms, no creatures, at least from the ground. Verk,
Do I hear any movement or
you don't.
communication or anything?
You don't hear any movement, but I'm going to say right now, because we have the Beleaguered by Storms aspect in place, it is impossible to hear any communication other than a shout. And they're not shouting at each other, so.
Yep. Do I see that Davros was running off to the left?
I think that's fair. I'm going to say, unless you guys specify otherwise, if you're all in the same zone, you're aware of what your party is doing.
Okay. Can I go the opposite direction?
Try to put him in a pincher?
Yeah.
Okay. I imagine you're not rolling stealth, right?
No, but I'll be doing... I mean, he's huge, so there's no hiding him.
Right.
But he's going to be going from, like, tree large enough that he could fit behind.
Right, to tree.
And then just, to tree to tree.
Okay. I won't make you roll anything for this. So as you navigate, I'm going to say I'm not even going to roll. I definitely notice you. Without moving with your cover, but as you hop from tree to tree, you're quite visible. And you hear a hissing sound, like steam escaping from a vent almost. And then another arrow. Roll me whatever you'd like as defense. It can be physique, it can be athletics, or anything else you want to pitch me. I'm going to tell you what you're up against. You're up against a 3.
I'll be doing athletics.
All right.
Maybe he can tuck and roll.
Sure.
Dodge, dip, duck, and dive, right?
That's right.
Let's see here. So that is a 4.
Okay, so you tumble right past, the arrow flies by you, you're behind a tree again. You now have because you're looking for this, you can see exactly where it came from. Davros, you are looking up at these leaves and you hear the arrow, you hear that same hiss, you see the arrow fly, and you saw where it flew from. There's nothing there. The arrow just manifested and was shot, as if from nothing. Talab and Jonas, what are you guys doing while Verk and Davros try to flank these mysterious assassins?
Did you mentioned, I think, maybe that there might have been skittering of creatures, not like the enemies that are shooting arrows, but just like...
Yeah.
So something that occurred to me is the existence of something called a heal slime or a cure slime.
Okay.
Which could be potentially something to look into. Creatures that might live in an environment like this.
Uh-huh.
So
you're saying like something that might have evolved to have a natural counter agent to the toxin of the
yeah, like
okay.
It may not be, it might be mythology, but if these are real, then there's potential for this other sort of species.
Yeah, not like a heal slime like in an RPG where you take it and it heals your wounds, but a naturally occurring counter agent to whatever this other
more almost like the predator to this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, or something at least immune to it, immune to the natural toxins. Totally reasonable. Okay.
So I would like to. I don't know if I can. I'd like to put the aspect play for myself, and I would pay to use it certainly for notice or
What
lore.
what aspect?
The
do you play?
aspect, the let's see, the hunt for the elusive pure slime.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to make an aspect.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Can I pay to do that?
So here's how you make an aspect. You want to create an advantage. Let me think how to do this. So you want to, you're both world building and
Right.
kind of pushing yourself towards
Yes.
that. I don't know that an aspect does you a lot of good here because we don't know if there is or isn't one yet, and if there is, what it looks like or what kind of thing it is. But is there an aspect you can invoke to justify a +2 to this lore roll, perhaps? That seems to me
Could be something that I had heard of certainly in my wandering
okay.
as the wandering doctor of the blessed sand.
Sure. Okay. So because this is a good use of it. So because you are a wandering doctor, you know just this baseline idea that when there are seemingly to some people mythical or mystical evil spirits, what is often the case is they're just flora or fauna that have strange effects. And
Yes.
when that's the case, there's almost always something in the environment that has evolved to combat it or to become immune to it. That's just something you
Exactly.
picked up. It happens almost every time. So I'll let you invoke that aspect. You pay a fate, throw it in your spent, take it out of your refresh, put it in your spent. You add +2 now to your. It sounds like a lore roll. So you're going to roll lore at a +4.
That sounds good.
And that's going to be able to. You're going to look around and see like what around here. Like, so it's actually kind of funny as they're sneaking. You hear the shots. You hear Jonas go, you're completely ignoring. You're just like, ooh, critters, and you're just looking and kind of on your hands and knees scouring for these.
That's where the aspect came to my mind because I'm pursuing this, but it doesn't have to be. Obviously,
in this case, I don't think it needs to be in play. I think,
that's fine.
Yeah, let's just say you're doing it.
Maybe it could happen depending on what I find. If
Sure.
Hey Dan, we lost you on Skype.
Again. Okay. I see Skype has crashed.
Also, I'm gonna roll whenever you let me know.
You look very frozen on the stream.
There we go. I hope I'm back in.
Yep. Kurt resized. Dan, you were loading. Dan resized.
Did that work?
Yeah, sort of.
I don't see you on the stream.
I think his
Oh.
yeah.
You have to
He's
readjust
getting
me.
fixed. He's getting fixed.
Hold on.
I guess Skype crashed. I don't know. I
Yeah,
definitely
it's
didn't
weird.
touch it. Let me know when I'm good.
Did we get it?
Hey,
Cool.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
So Talab, you're down to 2 refresh, and you've put a point in your spent. I imagine.
I rolled.
And you rolled. Okay, so you rolled a +1 and you had a 4, so that's a 5 for lore.
I had because I burned.
Because you use an aspect, right?
Yeah.
So it's a total of +5, which is a superb. So as you're looking around, we'll say this: the arrows are flying, and you're not completely absent-minded. You are concerned for your own safety, and so you start to look around you're keeping your eye on the captain, and you're looking for a tree to hide behind, and then something catches your eye that makes all of that completely irrelevant. You see through the underbrush these little like spots of stickiness where the leaves of plants have folded together, almost like something has bounded through the underbrush and left a trail of some sticky slime-like substance.
Mm-hmm.
You peer in and you catch that it's practically invisible. It was maybe a flash of lightning that illuminated it, and as you lean in, you pick it up with your fingers and kind of like rub it and smell it. You give it like just touch it to your tongue a little bit, and it's a very, very bitter, but something about it you intuit this is, if not necessarily the antidote, this is related in some way. This is another kind of this secretion from something here, and you can follow that trail and you can see where that thing is going. It's going northeast, whatever that creature was.
I want to follow it.
Okay, so you just hard bail. right?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, Verk and Davros, you don't see this because you're busy flanking this invisible assailant. Jonas, you do notice this. Do you follow him?
Yes. I would like to say that I get the captain's attention and I point towards Talab and I say, our healer friend's going this way, and if your crew has any chance, we probably need to stick with them.
Is Fretz at the end of his sentences clipping for anybody else?
Sounded like a little
Just a
bit.
touch.
Yeah, just like a touch of like just the very ends of every sentence is clipping. I don't know if
That's probably just a Discord thing.
okay. So you alert the captain and then you go, or you wait for the captain to follow him as
I feel like I would be pulling the captain along with me, like I hit him on the shoulder and I say the thing that I just said, and then I kind of like grab the the scruff of a sleeve or whatever, and kind of pull him to come with me.
She does not follow you because her men are currently under attack, but she does not stop you because if anything, you're heading off into a dangerous jungle with the guy she told to kill you. So thumbs up, this is ideal. She ignores you, maybe makes out as if she didn't even hear you, and orders her men to surround the location that is now being flanked by Verk and Davros. I imagine you continue on, or do you try to pester her some more?
No, I follow Talab.
Okay, so we have split the party. Fantastic. Jonas and Talab, you guys are chasing off some weird slime creature. Verk and Davros, you guys are flanking an invisible assailant. Let's go back to Verk and Davros. Davros, what do you do once you realize that you see the arrow manifest as if from nothing and shoot off mysteriously?
It came from in the tree, up in the trees, right?
Correct.
I would like to put into play an aspect for Davros, seeing as in the earlier parts of the story per se, and not only that, but just in general from his life growing up, he is and was keen to climbing very easily,
Mhm.
and put into play the aspect second story thief, which would assist as he tries to climb the tree that he's hiding behind to make his way through the I wouldn't really call it the canopy because I don't think we're anywhere close to that, but make his way across over to the trees to where he saw the arrows manifest.
Okay. Why don't you roll me athletics? So what we're going to do is there's 4 actions you can take in Fate. You can attack, defend. That doesn't apply here. You can overcome when I put an obstacle in your way, or you can create advantage. What you're doing is creating an advantage. The advantage. This is a little different because normally it's an advantage in the world, but what you're kind of retroactively creating almost like a memory advantage. Because I had this life, that sort of instinct kicks into play here. So yeah, roll me athletics, and I'm gonna say that is a we'll just call it an you know what, an ob 3.
I meet it then.
Is that not a -2?
Oh, you're saying so I don't get an advantage with that?
No, so you're rolling to meet an ob. If you meet that ob, you have created an advantage, and you have successfully put an aspect into play.
Then no.
Then no. Okay. Do you want to burn any aspects? So let's see.
Yeah,
You can
I
either
would
burn it to re-roll or burn it to add 2. Because
I would like to burn it to add 2 because that would meet the 3.
That would meet it. Okay. Hold on. If you meet the ob, create advantage, you put a boost into play. That's basically like a single use aspect, and after that, it's gone. If you succeed by 1 or more, you get to put a full-fledged aspect into play.
Then I'll re-roll.
Okay. Or you can burn 2 aspects to give you a +4, which will definitely do it, but it's up to you.
I'll re-roll.
Okay. Ouch. So I'll deduct from the refresh. So you're down to 2 refresh. If you spend 2 more right now, you will get it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to spend 2.
Okay. So what aspects? You got to invoke 2 different aspects. You can't invoke the same one twice to give me a +2 from each. So a life raised by the Ironside Thieves. That seems like a pretty fair one to invoke.
And his high concept: there are no men like him.
Okay,
He's good at what he does.
we'll say that you were the best. You were the one guy they sent when they had to do wire work, when there had to be something done on the rooftops. You were the one they said you had this natural talent for it, and your life being raised by them honed that talent into something truly magnificent. So you're completely out of fate now, and your spent is up to 4. So you're actually making good progress there. So that gives you a total of a 4 plus 3. That's a 7. Gives you a total roll of a
So-
5.
Before we continue, am I using my dumb luck?
You're welcome to. It's twice per session. You can use it here.
Yep. I would like to use both of them now.
Okay. Roll once to see if you get a +1. You do. All right. I'm going to put that refresh back to 1. And you want to try it again? -4. Unfortunately not. Okay,
Okay.
but you do say
But-
one truth from that, which is great.
And the 1 doesn't go into my spent category. You said if I use that and I get it back, that it doesn't count as.
Did I
I
say
think-
that?
I think you said
that
that.
was the that was the that was the mitigating factor. Okay, so your spent is down to 3. That's fair, and you still have a refresh. So let's put the aspect into play here under Davros. What was it? Second story
Second story thief.
thief. Okay, this aspect has 3 free invokes. So over the course of the session, 3 times you can just add a +2. They have to be on different rolls. You can't use them all on the same roll. And furthermore, you can pay a fate to invoke it manually. So you can use the free invoke for a +2, pay another fate, now it's a +4. You can also add on any other aspects you want. So you want to use one right now to climb up this tree?
Yes, I would. I want to use 1 right now to climb the tree.
Okay, roll me athletics. At a +2.
That
In
would
addition to your
be
whatever.
6 total.
You have a 3, 5, 6. Wow. All right. So the op for this is 3. This is the first time we're going to succeed with style. The op for climbing a tree is 2. It's +1 because it's raining and storming. You succeed by more than 2, and you succeed with style, appropriate for a second story thief. You get to also go ahead and throw a boost into play. What's the boost? So you climb this, so you practically fly up it. Your feet barely touch. You know where the branches are. You clamber up it. What kind of boost do you want? What bonus effect do you want from climbing this? We'll say incredibly fast and incredibly quiet.
Is this like adding another aspect, or is this just like pick a skill to boost?
No, it's basically a single use aspect. It's going to come in, and no matter what happens, as soon as you use it once, it's gone. Is the best way to think about it.
Cat-like reflexes.
Okay. And the other one, no one else can use it. It's a boost that just like is a little bump to you. And I'll throw 1 there, so there's 1 free invoke on it, and then it's gone. So you clamber up to the top. So next time you want to have in this, and it's got to be for this interaction, this scene. You get to next time you need cat-like reflexes, you've got it. So you get there completely unwinded. Just your tiptoes land on the top of this tree, and you feel a rush of bitter cold. And this jungle is hot and humid. Remember, it is like ice up here, and as if there's like little ice crystals dancing all around you. There's a shimmer up here. There is another hiss, and as that hissing sound grows, you see as if outlined by light, a shape manifest, knocking an arrow back. Cut to you real quick, Verk. Another arrow is knocked at you. This time you're looking right at it, so you can roll active opposition for me. How do you want to... Actually, an active opposition, as long as you are not doing anything else this round, if you're staying behind that tree, I'll give you a +2 to whatever you want to roll.
How far away?
You see Davros, by the way, having just like practically flown up this tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe 20 feet away.
20 feet?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's just straight up the tree?
Like up and diagonally up.
Yeah. see here. Can I do a little bit more zigging and zagging and get underneath the tree that it's at?
Okay, sure. So I'm not going to give you the +2 because you're not hiding, you're actively running. Just roll me athletics. I'm going to roll shoot. If I hit you, I'm going to say that not only do you take damage, but you are stopped. Like, you have to stop at the tree you're currently at. If I miss you, you get to the tree.
Alrighty.
So I'm going to go first. Total of a +2.
Okay.
What's your athletics?
It is a 3.
So it's a
that gives me
total
a
of
plus.
Yeah, +1. So you're one below. If you burn a truth, you can either re-roll or you can invoke an aspect to give you a +2 here.
Let's see here. I'm going to invoke my Fast Fists.
Okay.
I am just trying to get within melee range of this.
You're
just as
almost
quickly as
in
I
a
can.
rage. You're just making it,
Yes.
and you're crashing through the underbrush. It
Yep.
can't catch you in time. All right. So I'm going to take 1 point out of your refresh, put it in your spent. You invoke Fast Fists. You barrel through it, just barely, because you succeed by a +1 now. Not enough to succeed with style. You get to the tree. You're now right underneath Davros. Arrow whizzes by you. Davros, you see the arrow manifest, and it is, as you'd expect, the form of an archer, clothed in strange garb, many layers of different silks and what look like shimmering metallics, a helm of some strange manufacture, carved to look almost like a Roman centurion's helm. There's like a crest on top that is a soaring eagle. The hands are decorated with ornate jewelry. The feet are barefoot, and you notice they're gripping the branches of the tree almost like they're completely prehensile, as if this is almost simian-like. You barely catch the facial features of this creature, and it's distinctly it's humanoid, but it's non-human in an uncanny way, almost alien-like. Incredibly large eyes, almost like they've been pinned back, very slim ears, incredibly thick eyebrows, a elongated chin, and a hawk-like nose, very, very extremely wide mouth, as if you'd imagine if it opens it, it probably is predatorial in size. It's probably got a huge bite, and completely expressionless, as if it is looking through Verk. It is operating almost automatically. And then in a flash, gone. You realize why you couldn't see it. There's the way that this sort of landing of the tree branches here is situated, is that it was only by the lightning flashing while you're standing right here that you see the image reflected back at you. Verk, you don't even see this. And then, as soon as it's you have a moment, and then it's gone.
Would it be fair to say that Davros would understand that typically larger eyes means that something is more nocturnal?
I think that's totally fair. Sure.
Okay.
Let's see. What is it? What is? Let me just look at his skills: burglary, grave wise, maybe notice, stealth. Yeah, stealth alone. In your time burglaring at night, you've seen cats and the like, and you it's something you pick up. That's totally fair.
Okay. And have I ever figured out how to use Brightholm's sword the way that Brightholm used?
Sure haven't.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to wait until I catch it again. I don't want to go. I don't want to move from my position. I kind of want to maintain my stillness, as it were.
Mhm.
And I want to wait until I see it again before I make a move.
Okay. Let's cut from you two then. Talab and Jonas. So Talab, you're following whatever this is off into the forest. I don't think you even realize Jonas is behind you. Is that fair? It's not important to you. You're so single-mindedly focused on this.
Yeah.
This creature. as you tumble through the underbrush, you pick up a lot of, like, your hands are covered in a bunch of sticky things. It could be tree sap, it could be the slime, you're not sure. Honestly, don't really care. And you lose track. One thing you and Jonas have in common is you guys are very, when you have that absent-minded professor quality, when you're focused on something, everything else kind of goes to the background. And it's actually maybe half an hour has passed before Jonas, you finally catch Talab. And Talab, you burst upon what looks like the remnants of a campsite. You smell just very faintly long gone smoke, and you see makeshift lean-tos and tents, and shards of strange metals on the ground. Why don't you go ahead and roll me notice? Jonas, you can roll me notice as well.
Oh,
Wow, okay.
right.
What's that total?
5.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I have a 3.
Okay. So both very good. I'm gonna say you still don't even notice Jonas is there. What's on the ground is I'll let you choose this because you're from a world these guys aren't from, Talab. In your world, how advanced is technology? What kind of machinery is there, if any?
I would think it's maybe like Victorian.
Okay.
That's about
So- Cranks and pulleys and
yeah,
is there steam?
Clockwork.
Steam engines? Clockwork?
Steam.
Okay.
Sure.
So enough that you know what machinery looks like.
Yeah.
What you see here at first is maybe magical artifacts, but with that 5, upon closer inspection, you pick it up. It is very clearly extremely advanced machinery. The clockwork, as it were, is so tiny and so delicate you almost don't even recognize it as clockwork. There are little bits of what might be beads or gems that are in fact little bits of well, actually, Jonas, you see him pick this up, this little item off the ground, and having world hopped now, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 times, you recognize this immediately as
You cut completely out there.
electronic equipment.
There we
go.
Jonas, I'll let you just take free rein on this. In your travels, how experienced have you become with electronics?
I mean, ranging from worlds that we've discovered that are advanced, like the real
Sure.
world, or
Whatever. You
Okay.
tell me what worlds, like, how...
I would say we have gone. I think in the world of if there's a delicate balance or spectrum of the unexplainable to the physically completely explainable, or maybe metaphysical versus the physical, we've had examples of both extremes. We've been in the entirely magical world and had a little bit of experience there, but we've also seen technologies like this, and I would even venture to say beyond this,
Sure.
where there was no magic in a world, or so little magic that the true physics, allowed life to exist and thrive and evolve. And so, with no magic, obviously, you're left to your own physical devices. So, eventually, what comes from that is, the evolution of transferring, collecting electricity and then transferring it and then using it to power things, which eventually lead us to, I would say one of those 9 or 10 worlds had, had internet and had tablets and had,
Sure.
If you would let me, I would say that book that I hold so dear and Davros unknown to Jonas at this point, Davros that has the book on him, was something that I actually found out of that world and was reading via a tablet, and is something that I then had to find in a different iteration, or would that not make sense?
That's fair. You're saying, I mean, what we already established that the copy you have now is paper.
Yeah.
But originally it was on a tablet. It was a digital.
Yeah, it's a
thing.
story. It's a story that maybe the names weren't exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the story just eerily lines up with.
Sure.
It's a children's tale with the same, with the same fable. And
sure.
And I found copies of it both in this digital world that we existed in, but then now I have seen that there's an echo throughout these different worlds.
Sure. So you recognize this thing immediately as complex electronic equipment. This is a computer of some kind. You haven't been to this particular world. You don't know quite what it does. You don't really know how to turn it on or operate it. But it's apparent that there's lights blinking on it. It is some kind of it's a piece of some kind of computer, some kind of complicated electronic machine.
What I recognize the difference between the world that we're in. And because I think we talked about we've been in this world in weeks, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, you guys came here on a sailboat,
right?
Like this is
clearly
not from here
this
at
world.
all.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. So what you got there, Talab?
Oh, and by the way, so as you're looking, Talab, you're able to piece this together. You don't know much about electronics, but you do know what it looks like when you see wreckage. There are things that look whole and complete, things snapped in half, things that have been set afire, burned, and then the fire kind of melted into a strange gnarled shape. Something happened here. Whatever this campsite was made out of piece, and you notice now that the lean-to has what is a metal beam holding it up, and then pieces of leaves and branches to form the rest of it. Whoever built this out of scavenged materials that were mostly ruined in some way. In fact, the little blinking thing you're holding is the only thing that is turned on. You're not even sure what it is or what it does, but it has active power of some kind.
I motion to hand it to Jonas.
Okay.
I have no idea.
You haven't seen something like this before?
No.
Oh well,
Have you?
Yeah, all the time. We've Verk and Davros and I have encountered these things. And you probably don't need to. It's and then
What does it do?
I open my jacket pocket and I just put it inside my coat pocket.
Yeah.
It's actually, as I do that, I also like shake my folds loose and the arrow comes plopping out.
Yep. You had completely forgotten about it.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry. The arrow. You realize this is when you realize that the arrow isn't there anymore.
Oh, okay. So in that moment, from both the fight starting and arrows coming at us, and me chasing Talab, this is the first free moment I have to try to get it out of my coat.
Yeah.
And I notice that nothing falls to the ground. Okay.
Yeah, but your cloak is pierced. There is a hole in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, did you? You saw that? You know they were shooting arrows at us, right?
Who?
I mean, I didn't get a good look at them. I'm just saying. Here, look.
There was.
I poked my
was an
finger,
attack.
I poked my finger through the hole, and of the cloak, and I'm like, they shot me. I mean, I'm not hurt, but it's weird that there's no arrow. Oh, anyway, what do you make? What do you make of the rest of this?
Make of this? I have no idea.
Talab, you notice something else. There's bits of there's carcasses and bits of bone in the long abandoned campsite here. Probably some of the critters they had caught and eaten. And amongst that, you see a lot of the stones are covered what is now this very foul-smelling, rotten slime. You had a great lore roll earlier, so I'm going to let that ride. You recognize it as what was once the same kind of slime you were chasing from the same kind of creature, although now it's been long rotted.
It smells like not just rotten, but like almost like burnt hair.
Yeah.
That kind of foul.
Yeah, it smells. Yeah, that's actually a great. It smells wrong. Something's.
Yeah.
It's not just normal. And the
And
more you look, the more that you find. It is all over this campsite, as if something had exploded here, or they had many of them here and had peeled them all apart. Something. There's
Are there
a lot of slime.
Are there any tracks of any kind leaving this campsite? Obviously, some came to it. It's what we sort of followed, but
Yeah.
Are there anything leaving?
It's difficult. You don't find anything right away because there's so much. The forest is always changing. There's always the storms changing the landscape. If there were any, they were careful enough that there's nothing here now. Difficult to tell.
People or creatures, neither.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Or ghosts.
There's like it's not as much that there's no paths out. There's infinitely many paths out. There's any way they could have gone. You can, if you look hard enough, you can see a route almost anywhere.
So the creatures that are not spoiled have the scent of like sage.
Sure.
That's what this slime smells like.
Yeah.
And this is I want to invoke my trouble actually.
Okay.
That is stuck in stage 7, Al Najwa, the aching heart. The smell reminds me of her. And I just follow it off in one direction. Pick a random direction.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and give you a refresh for taking that compel. And so this is the first time we've had a real compel, and I want to break it down for you guys. An invoke is pretty clean. An invoke just gives you a +2. It might work out, it might not. You may take an invoke and you still roll so terribly that it doesn't work out. Or I invoke something as well and I end up rolling better than you, right? A compel, the cost is that I am obligated to turn the narrative for the compeller, for Talab, in a negative direction. Negative meaning it's bad for his character, but it should be very interesting. It shouldn't just be like you're absent-minded, so -2 to your next roll. I don't have to roll anymore. I have this freedom. Ted has given it to me willingly to make something bad definitely happen to him in a way that is not easily overcome. Cool? Is that we all understand it? I know you understand it, Ted. You've played Fate. So you see Talab wander off as if he smells it, and then he picks up a pinch of the fresh slime and smells it, and it's as if he couldn't quite put his finger on it, and now he can. You hear him sigh, and he wanders off slowly into one of the many infinite directions out of this camp, without responding to you. You may be still asking him questions. Hey, did you see the creatures with the... And then he's just gone.
Yeah, so I'm gonna fiddle with the device.
You just let him go?
No. I'm gonna take the device out. I can see that he's not paying attention, and I'm gonna take the device out and start to study it as I follow him.
Okay. Do you want to...
I'd like to know what I can get out of this device, or if there's buttons on.
You cut out after. Would you like to?
This is very odd. I wonder if it's just Discord, because
It's probably Discord.
It might
pretty
be.
close to my mic. What would you like to roll to learn about it? What skill?
So, I guess
Yeah,
World Right?
investigate.
So World Right is your ability to use your knowledge of the fact that the grave is divinely morphic to manifest things. It's almost like a form of magic. Gravewise is knowledge about things from the multiverse.
Well, all right. Well, then that's better for me. But so yeah, I'll use Gravewise. Yeah.
That's what I thought. So your character knows, because this isn't from here, it serves me better to look at this artifact as a something from the grave rather than simply weird tech. Right. That makes sense. All right. Roll me Gravewise. Do you want to invoke anything or add anything to it?
Not that I already rolled.
Okay.
But,
That's fine.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
It's a 2 overall.
With a 2 in Gravewise, which is just a fair, you're confident upon turning it over that this came from not from this world. And as you kind of like pick it apart, there are markings on it. I want a 2 is tough. I'd know much better what to give you on like a 1 or a 3. I'll give you this. You haven't held the fractal compass in some time. It's been in Davos's possession, and then for the last few months, it's been in the possession of the navigator, who is still on the ship, by the way. And when you open this up, it takes you a couple seconds, but you realize some of the markings, which you never fully deciphered on the compass, are echoed here on a little blinking indicator. So this thing, if not an actual transportation device, is related in some way. It has some ability to, if those markings are indicators on a map, it is also has the ability to detect and display them some way. Is that?
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think how to phrase it. It's not. You're certain
Kind of
it's
like
not
a GPS.
Maybe. You're not sure if it is a tracking device, if it is telling you where you are located, or if it is simply part of a greater thing that had something to do with the grave itself. But this is both a device from something that came from the grave, from another world through the grave, but also is tied to the grave in some capacity. Perhaps navigation. It's a reasonable guess to say it is involved in navigation in some way.
Maybe it's the tracking device that was tracking the compass. Yeah.
Dan, would I have had any indication, or would there be any reason for me to associate symbols on this device and symbols from what I remember from the compass to anything I have glanced over on the hell's the life and death of St. August?
No, that there was no real illustrations there. It was, and if you can interpret a couple lines because it's all very poetic. There's lines about how St. August was lost and found his way, but it's nothing that you can really nail it to. But you're certain, and furthermore, from the brief time you had encountered King and his men, you're pretty certain this tech is not theirs either. You're not super adept with tech yet, but like you said, you've been to enough of those places. You can tell when something is of the same level as something else. This is not theirs. Or if it is, it's something they had not shown you before.
And so you said there's some sort of light or indication that it's blinking or that it's receiving power. Is there any kind of buttons to press?
There's a lot. Do you just start pressing them? Because they are marked in a language you objectively don't know.
I press 1.
Okay. I am going to compel you. I'm going to compel 73 screams. You going to take it? If you don't take it, you have to pay me a truth.
You're going to compel me that screams over encumber me and make me lose focus on the device?
I'm not telling you what I'm going to do, but the screams are going to make a bad thing happen from this.
Oh, well,
it's a compel, so objectively a bad thing will happen. We'll push the narrative in a direction not conducive to what Jonas wants.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I want to press a button, and you're just offering me a compel, regardless of whether I'm pressing the button or not. What you're saying? That's separate from.
No, the compel is relating to what that button does. I'm going to make this button do something bad.
Oh, all right.
And it is going to be bad because of 73 screams.
I will take the compel.
Fantastic. You are now at 4 refresh. You better start spending your truth. You got a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know how to. Go ahead.
Okay. As you go to push the button, you are overtaken by the memory, this cruel memory that comes upon you At first you thought it was random, but it seems to be at the most inopportune times. You are now pretty sure that you are actively haunted by these 73 souls. They come upon you at moments that you want it least. Now, as you go to push this, you realize intuitively two things. A, this device is smart, which is to say it interprets commands. Not one button doesn't do one thing. It operates on a different set of protocols. It has algorithms within it. You realize this because the 73 souls within you peer into it and all begin to laugh. And the laugh rises to a crescendo, and you almost splitting your own skull, and the laughs finally turn to screams, as they always do. And you just about drop the device. Before dropping it, you in reaction to being about to drop it, you squeeze it tighter, and the device, you hear a click, and then a whining sound. This whining sound grows louder and louder and louder and louder until it itself is ear-splitting, and it is conflicting with the 73 screams operating inside your own brain. And then, as if right at the moment at which you can take it no longer, the device turns off. There's quiet now. Your ears are still ringing, but you hear that low note that you had heard before on the ship coming from the mouths of those creatures. You hear it now constantly. You realize that the note that they are singing is in harmony with that note that was playing from this device. That is now, by the way, completely turned off. If you hit buttons, it does not turn back on. It is completely shut off. And you are now constantly hearing, I'm going to put an aspect in play for you here, Jonas. He seems healed, and also there is always the song aspect here.
Well,
do you do anything in direct response to this?
So is it one singular note I'm hearing, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Then I for the sanctity of my mental state and being, I'm
sorry, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. I'm actually changing your aspect. He seems healed is overwritten. This new aspect is an evolution of that. There is always the song. So this is not a separate thing. You seem healed, but there was something subtly changed about you. This has amplified. You are now always hearing this note. You are always in connection to whatever this thing is.
Okay. So because it's a singular note, I'd like to think that while I don't have anything more pressing to focus on, I try to use the note and pull back from my memory some sort of hymnal that I would know from I don't know, a mass or a some sort of religious service that I would have attended or been prone, to attend in my youth. And so I find the most appropriate one for that particular note. Not that it's specific to the life and death of St. August, not that it's...
Guys, can you hear us?
Yeah, why? What's up?
You were quiet for like a solid 15 seconds.
Everything muted.
Oh. Did somebody... Y'all
I didn't.
Y'all pressed my buttons. Okay. So, because it's a solid, a singular note, I pull back from my memory like a hymnal from a religious service,
Sure.
based on the gods. And
Sure, which god?
So what I'm going to tell you is it's got nothing to do with the god. I'm picking the one based on what would make the most sense to drown out the note. Does that make sense?
Sure, I'll tell you what god it is then. It is a hymn of Tomb, the judge, goddess of water, stone, and the depths. That's the one that happens to meet your criteria.
Yes, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And so I bring that out of my memory and I start humming it or singing it to myself to help harmonize the note that is now, I guess, part of my life.
Okay, I am now changing your aspect. Always the Song of the Tomb is now the song. So
Dan, I feel like can I?
Just keeps getting worse, and you can't do anything about it.
Can-
So as you start humming this song, you realize how neatly it fits in. And this is something you know about the grave. All these worlds, as you come across them, not only do the same 11 gods appear, by the way, every time. Sometimes with subtly different names, maybe, but you kind of learn to recognize that, like, oh wait, you call this god, I don't know, Ra. Ah, you mean morning, the ascendant, right? You sort of pick up on the commonalities between the worlds, right? Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay. And furthermore, you pick up on the fact that there are all of these things stem from the grave. The grave was the originator of all, whatever world the grave was before it was completely destroyed. All these things are splinters of it. And so if you trace your steps back, you arrive at the original, the progenitor X, progenitor Y. You're arriving at some kind of, and you realize this in your bones, some kind of progenitor hymn. As you sing this hymn that you remember from the goddess Tomb, and you harmonize with both that eerie screech from the device and the song that has now been playing in your head from those creatures, you are approaching some greater truth. And you know this because you've had that spark of the divine for just a hot second, but you held it in your hand, remember?
Mhm.
And this feels like that. Do you go anywhere, or do you stand there in the rain singing this?
Do I feel like the note is coming from anywhere?
It's coming from all around you.
And I've got nothing from the device. The device is powered down and is no longer doing anything.
No longer doing anything.
And do I have from this campsite? I think Ted kind of asked already that, like, is there a clear indication of where things came from, or like another path or whatever? Is there, Talab kind of walked off into, whatever from a compel. Is there like a clear indication of another pathway that this campfire would have led off to, or another way to go, I guess?
There isn't one immediately apparent, but as you're singing this song, you begin to see one. You begin to see where someone had come before you, someone like you, a common worshiper. You're not sure why that phrasing enters your head at first, because you don't know, you're not worshiping a particular god. You, in fact, explicitly don't have a god you worship. But that thought comes to you, a fellow worshiper, a common adherent, another who knows the truth.
A non-discriminatory believer.
In something very specific. Normally, that wouldn't happen because you don't believe in anything specific. But for a moment, it's as if you do. This hymn is to something.
Oh, okay.
And someone else believes in this something, and they were here.
So,
In fact, there were many of them.
Well, now I've got reason to pause.
Okay.
But no, we can say I start to trot off that way.
Okay, great. So party is split once again. Jonah's heading off in a direction following the Song of the Tomb. Talab is off following the scent of his lost love, which is also the same smell as this strange creature slime. Verk and Davros. Is Davros reapproaching? Here he is, just in time. Verk and Davros, you guys are surrounded. You guys have surrounded this strange invisible assailant. The last thing that happens was the creature disappeared again. Let's start with Verk. Verk, you're at the base of the tree.
I knew that the arrow was coming up, or from up above me, correct?
Yes.
And I know Davros is there.
Yes. You can see him.
Hmm.
You guys have done this enough. Let's see, you guys probably have a sign. You guys have like a hand signal that's like, hey, I'm going to do this. You can do this. That seems reasonable. Yeah. Yep.
Let's see here. Because I want him to get him to try to shoot at me again.
Uh-huh.
Now that I know he's there and waiting.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm assuming he's signaled at me that he wants me to get him to do it again.
Sure.
Let's see here. Oh, this is hard without knowing anything about them other than they're invisible.
It's true. And shoot arrows. By the way, as this is happening, just because I hate having to spend time on NPCs.
Yeah.
You hear that they're also currently like, oh, he's over there, and they're like dodging, fighting other ones. It's like happening.
Okay, so there's more than just this one.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
The crew's dealing with it.
But it doesn't seem like any of the other ones are focused at us.
No.
I'll just kind of provoke the one that is up there to try to shoot at me. Just kind of like making myself a target, but not necessarily an easy target.
Okay.
Just kind of going from tree to tree that's directly in front of it. Trying to get him to shoot at me.
Is it easy for me to get Verk's attention right now?
Sure, we'll say he's looking right at you as he decides to do this.
I'm going to motion back towards the way that we came, towards the crew.
Okay. So I'll just dart toward the next tree that direction.
That's what you want, Davros?
Yes, essentially I'm trying to get him to move back towards the crew, so the thing that's shooting at him has to come closer.
You're cutting out.
Closer
to me.
Closer to you. Okay.
So basically, I'm pointing in the opposite direction. I'm pointing in it from where I saw the thing last. I'm pointing in the direction that would be if you drew a line from it through me to the other direction. That's where I'm pointing.
Got it. Okay. So Verk, roll me provoke. Actually, I don't think you even have to roll for this. That's completely reasonable. You have a 2 in provoke. You're big and obvious, and Davros is light and borderline invisible right now. So you just make a big show of crashing through the trees to the next one, and the creature, there's another hissing sound, and as you hear that hissing sound like steam escaping, you see the creature manifest closer now. Davros, it actually manifests on top of you, and you feel this immense cold. You now feel that stinging pain, almost a frostbite. And you are inside of this thing. It is manifesting over top of you. And you feel your hands reach back into this quiver and pull out this arrow. Verk, you're running, so you don't notice this, but Davros, you are now wearing this like a suit of armor, and you feel yourself drawn to shoot at Verk.
Have I ever heard of anything like this, like possession or anything along those lines that I would have?
Possession, sure. This kind of weird sort of state-based possession where, like, depending on where you're standing, and it's almost like intentless. Like, this thing didn't intentionally possess you. It happens to have manifested on top of you, and thus you are drawn into it. So that's a little weird, but you know about possession is not unheard of. You heard of demons.
Basically, I'm trying to see if we've heard of anything or experienced anything like this in the worlds that we visited.
I'm going to say no, but I will say that as this thing takes a hold of you, not only do you feel that icy chill, you also feel. What's your? Let me see what your. Fantastic. Roll me Gravewise.
5.
Wow, fantastic. This creature is not from here. This bears the unmistakable scent of the grave. This is coming from somewhere else and manifesting here. This is even more bizarre than it seems.
I would like to try to resist this, and at the very least, shoot so that it misses.
Okay. So we're going to roll against each other. We're going to do an opposed roll. Why don't you? Let's think. What would be the best way to roll against them?
Would it in this kind of a situation, since I know it's from the grave, would it be safe to say world right? Since
I'm sorry, that's the objectively right answer. Yeah, that should have been obvious to me. You are now, this is a perfect example. So something is from the grave, and you're not great at this. You've only done it a couple times, and you're objectively not a god, so it's even more difficult. But you, once or twice, you've used a little bit of that divine morphism to change just something, to manifest that little amethyst crystal, if you remember. And so you pull on that, and you try to just change this magic to fight against this possession, to put your truth onto it. It is not possessing you. Perhaps you are possessing it. So roll me world right. And I am going to roll will against you, the will of something.
It'd be a 0.
A total of a 0. Okay. I'm sorry, I have a total of a 3. You've only got one truth left, so you can go for a re-roll. But if you use it for a +2, that's not going to cut it. Although, so you do have cat-like reflexes. And if what the action you're trying to take is both overpowering this thing to get you the rest of the way, you're going to just nudge the arrow. I think that's a great use of that
fair.
boost.
Yeah,
it's the same scene.
I would like to use that.
Okay, so I need 2 things, because
And a reroll.
And a reroll, or a +2 will guarantee it.
Oh, well then, yeah, use it for the +2.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep forgetting that
Yeah.
it's
Which aspect you can invoke here? Actually, hold on. I might as well use your if I were you. You already have 2 free invokes on Second Story Thief. And a free boost on Catholic Reflexes. So for no truth, you can get a +4. Does that make sense? You pop 1 free invoke from each.
Yeah, okay, so I thought it had to be related to what I was doing. So I wasn't sure that Second Story Thief would have.
No, you're not. You're
worked
not
it.
wrong. You're not wrong. I
He's
don't
higher
think
up.
it does. You're higher up, but it doesn't relate to the combating this. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So yeah, well, what aspect are you going to invoke?
I'm gonna invoke a soft heart hidden behind a lion's pride.
Because you don't want to hurt
Just-
Merc.
I don't want to hurt Burke, even though, the history of him and his group and my group has had that harrowed past, and we steer clear of each other.
Yeah.
Normally where I'd take a pot shot at him, he's family now.
Yeah. So I'm going to remove Catholic Reflexes. That boost is gone. A total of a +4. That gives you a what? What's your total? It was a 0, right?
It was a 0, so it'll be a
All
4
right,
total.
So a 4 against a 2. So you barely make it. In fact, this thing has a little more control than you're trying to adjust your arms, and you can't quite. And at the last second, your Catholic reflexes kick in, and you just flick the fletching of that arrow, and it whizzes past him, and thunks into a tree right beside you, Verk. But this thing now doesn't disappear. It stays on your form as you're grappling with it. Verk, you see this now. You get to the next tree, and you look back at Davros. He is wrapped. He's shrouded in this spectral creature. Which are you tall? Are you a tall man, Davros?
No, I don't think I ever wrote it down.
I imagine you don't want to be for a cat
mid
burglar.
mid 5 feet.
Okay, this thing is 7 feet tall. And you realize that Davros is kind of suspended. Davros is now floating about a foot off the ground, suspended, wearing this almost like a small mech suit. And while you're in this, by the way, Davros, you hear that humming sound that I had described to you before, that you had heard coming from the mouths of those oozes. Verk Davros, what do you do?
At this point,
so-
I'm just gonna call out to him. Sorry, wasn't me.
I'll just loop around the tree and run right back to where I came from.
Okay.
And with the intention of, I don't want to say just not stopping, but like as soon as I hit the base of the tree, just go up.
Okay.
Similar to how I've done with the going up the mast and going up the
Yeah.
right home tree.
Yeah.
When I see him do this, can I try to fall in that direction? I don't know how much control I have over my direction,
To
in
fall
this
like
thing.
so that
but I want to fall towards Verk,
so that he like catches you.
or can hit this thing.
You want to fall on him like you want him
Yeah.
to punch them.
Kind of like when I jumped on top of him back in the.
Okay. That's fair. So Verk, you run to the base of this tree and you look up, and I don't see why we have to roll for either of this. We've established you have just enough control to slowly move it, and you're already on the edge. You just kind of lean forward. You feel yourself knocking another arrow, and you don't fight the knocking. You just fight the standing. You kind of tip over. Verk, you see him come crashing down towards you, still knocking the arrows. He's going to fire on you from up top. What do you do?
So this is already like in free fall coming down. Then
Yes.
I'll sidestep to behind the tree since I'm right there.
I think
he's
the
gonna be
intent
shooting.
was he wanted you to like.
Oh, just catch this thing midair and
He,
just hit it.
he gives you the hand sign, I imagine. The like, hey, or just you can just say it. I imagine his
I'll,
intent is made clear to you somehow.
I'll just say, hit me.
All right, so then I'll just
Not
wait. For,
too hard.
instead of catching it, just do like a huge uppercut.
Sure,
It's like,
you do it. You give him a
damn.
show. You can roll me a fight.
Wait. Okay, roll.
You guys got.
Oh, I have mine on. Wait, no. Yes, I
Oh.
do. I'm sorry. You're fine. Wait for mine to disappear. Mediocre, but you have a 4 in fight, so it's still a 4, even after rolling a 0. Kurt, this thing is going to roll. You're purposely not rolling. You want it to hit you. This thing is going to try to roll. Actually, you know what? No, it's not. No, this thing doesn't. It doesn't realize what's happening. So for a 4, you just uppercut. You hear a crack, and the cold is shoved into your bones. This thing flies through you like the Ancient One punching the soul out of Doctor Strange, and it flies up, and that hissing sound is gone, and you hear a voice.
Do I hear this? That pops out from the side and goes, toast.
Yes, you hear the Mortal Kombat. You hear a single word in some language you don't understand, but it is in fact a word. It's not a moan or this note. It's like, for once, something coming from this creature, like a thing it said with intent, and then the ice shatters and is gone. You, however, just took a 4-point hit. So you can take 2 physical stress and a 2-point consequence, or you can take no stress and a 4-point consequence.
I'm gonna take 2 physical and 2-point consequence.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and take off your 2-point physical, and the consequence is going to be uppercut.
I was aiming center mass, if that helps.
Yeah. We're gonna say, we'll keep it simple. Bruised rib. You need to do something athletic later. I'm gonna make sure to fuck you up with that. So you land in a heap. Winded. You're trying to quick catch your breath, but the thing is gone.
You okay, buddy?
Never better.
And you look back up, and a couple of seconds pass, and it does not reappear. You hear still sounds of fighting. Whatever other ones out there are still fighting the crew. What do you guys do?
Is there like wreckage of this thing, or did it just kind of like
No.
poof gone?
It's completely gone.
Okay.
Actually, no. No. I'm sorry. No, there's not. There's that shattering sound, and then there's a moment passes, and then Kurt, Davros, you hear a thunk, and something knocks off a branch, falling down, and then thunks you on the head to insult injury, and then lands at your feet. It is a small blinking device that blinks once, twice, slower, and then just goes dead.
I'll reach out and grab it. And have I seen anything like this?
Nope.
In our-
Same thing as Jonas. You've seen tech of this level, perhaps, but nothing of this specifically. You also recognize much more quickly than Jonas some of the markings that echo what was on the fractal. This is something clearly from the grave.
Could I just based on that? Was it something that it dropped, or was it something that was dropped after?
Was dropped afterwards, but from the same spot where it had shattered.
Oh. Okay. So like kind of Burke punched it, and then whatever happened, this thing eventually came back.
Yeah.
Shall we go find more?
Lead the way. I'll tuck it into my back and.
So do you guys go to like engage in this fight, or do you try to get the captain and crew to like bail? You actively try to like. How do you approach the continued assault on the crew?
How do they look like they're doing?
Not great. They're like trying to throw things at it. A couple of them have like flintlocks. They're shooting at it. Absolutely nothing's happening to these things.
Can we hear how many there are, or take a guess?
Let's say
Or is
there's
it just-
3.
Well, okay.
Do we see Jonas and Talab?
No, they're like super far away by now. Each of them split in a different and terrible direction. One on a self-compel, one on a DM compel. So
Yeah.
it's bad news.
Did we notice it? Did we see what direction they went?
Nope. My question for the situation right now is, how do you deal? This isn't D&D, so I don't need you to like keep rolling initiative and keep fighting these things. But in general, how do you approach? Like,
What
do
do
you
we-
go up and try to like mimic and every time like get in there and knock these things out, or do you just go like, guys, let's bail?
Well, I personally don't want to bail because the navigator's back on the ship.
It's true.
And if we bail, there's no way we're getting back on the ship.
Yeah.
I'll
Alright,
just. What do you think? What do you think, mate? I mean,
I'm up for a fight.
you're always up for a fight. Well, lead the way. I'll do the best I can, but I can't take another one.
Let's. Can we tell roughly the vicinities or trees that they're in?
Yeah. Now that you know what you're looking for, you can, and by moving carefully and watching for the arrow manifestation, you start to pick out where they are.
All right, let's aim for one of the side ones, so we're not going to the middle.
Okay, so I don't need to replicate this 3 different times. You guys kind of get into a rhythm. You climb up a tree, Davros. You get up there. You take a deep breath. You figure out where it's gonna manifest. You let it take you, and you realize your physical form is holding it in place. You are keeping it manifested here. Verk, you try to land a couple. Like, now that you know what you're doing, you try to like, all right, this is gonna hurt a little bit.
He could have communicated with me so that, like,
Yeah.
if he knew that there was something above his head that wasn't
Yeah.
him, I could
Yeah.
aim for that. Like, I
Yeah.
could aim to just skim the top of his hair.
Sure.
Would we be able to make this obvious to the crew so they could try doing it? Not that I'm getting punched 7 times in a row.
It's probably way easier to just do it. I don't know that. That's a weird. Hey guys, someone come up here. Let
Yeah.
this thing possess. It's like a hard.
Okay.
It's a hard. Even if they understood what you were saying, they're probably going to be like, "Nah, I'm cool, thanks." I'm not going to make you. I'm not super interested. And one of the things about Fate too is you want to roll or set up scenarios where you're interested in the success or failure. Like each way could lead to something interesting. I'm not super interested in like either playing out all three of these or dealing you a bunch of small amounts of damage. So I'm going to say that you're able to kind of communicate with each other and Verk figure out you're not used to pulling your punches, but you kind of actually, I think maybe you are. So you're a brutal pit fighter, but you know when would be a good time to finish the guy off, right? You know that there's like a narrative to the fight. So you're used to actually holding a punch, giving him just a tap that looks good, like almost like pro wrestling like, because you know you want to finish him off in another minute and a half.
When you're training with your sparring partners.
That too.
Before the fight, like you don't want to kill them. You want to land the hit, but you don't want to obliterate them.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's used to going like full force right up to it and then stopping.
Yep. So you're able to just, and it hurts like a son of a bitch, Davros, but you don't take any further consequences, anything like that.
Then we'll do that.
It fills up your physical stress, and you get finally the last one. You're like, okay, just give me what? Boom, and it shatters off of you. You cough up. You like barely catch your breath. It's the end of the encounter, so stress goes away. And the men look up at you guys in the tree, having seen this. Like by the second one, they just stop firing, just staring at you. And by the third one, they're murmuring to each other. The captain is swearing up and down. When you guys finally descend the tree, she comes up and scratches her head, and then, like, very quizzically holds out her hand for you to shake, as if she's not sure what it is you did or how. But I guess thank you.
I'll shake her hand.
As I go to shake her hand, I'll give Davros just that good, solid, like, good job.
Yeah, yep.
Swat to the back.
Yep. Davros takes another point of physical stress, which at the end of the scene will go away, but just barely hanging on here. And Captain Rilo puts her hat back on, kind of takes this pensive pose. So what happened?
Well, you see, we've dealt with things of this nature before. Nasty business. The easiest way to explain it would be spirits that temporarily take control, but that in turn makes them vulnerable, which allows Verk here to dispatch.
So they stopped listening once you said spirits. Let the crew begin to make the holy warding signs, the cross, whatever this world's equivalent is of it, and begin to murmur, and they start to whisper, "This is a dangerous, the spirits here, the ghosts." And quickly it turns from spirits to like the sort of the crude sailor's poetry. This land is haunted by cursed specters. It kind of grows ever more terrifying the more that they pass these words around. And the captain waves and says, "Shut up, men!" So they have these where you're from?
Not where we're from, but where we've been.
And where have you been? Because I've not seen them like in all my travels.
How much of the world have I traveled here? Like,
of this world?
Would I know enough of places that have, typically never been visited, places that in their lore would have been taboo to go to?
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you're able to. I'll let you pick a name for it, but you know of a place that you're reasonably confident no sailor would willingly go to.
The first and really only time we've seen them is the island of Forlorn.
Island of Forlorn.
Crystals.
The men all make more holy signs against them. They one of them spits on the ground. You've been to the forest or the island of Forlorn Crystals and lived to tell the tale?
There's not much to tell besides this is what exists. That's why people don't go.
Smiling smugly. Yeah.
Verk's giving him the yeah, she looks all around And what else is on the island of Forlorn Crystals?
We didn't really get far in there before we were accosted by these things, so we didn't really stay long. As well, frankly, as you can tell, I'm not too fond of getting.
You're still like kind of heaving and like barely kind of holding on here. You're holding your side. That rib is still bruised. So she looks at you guys with a newfound and profound respect. And she says, "Well, I know when I'm out of my depth. I may be captain, but you're going to be the guides. Lead the way, and if there's anything else from crystals or beleaguered forests, hail or tempests or ghosts or spirits," and she looks back at the men, or haunted specters, whatever they like, let us know ahead of time.
If they show themselves ahead of time, we'll be sure to let you know. Typically, these things don't announce their presence.
She nods. All right. Wait. Oh, wait, no, she's not confused. She saw Jonas and Talab. She doesn't mention it. I don't know if you guys know. So she goes, "All right, we'll carry on, men. Let's get in and out as fast as we can."
Aye, Captain.
Jonas and... Oh, yeah, Vert, go.
I was gonna say, as we disperse, I'm like, where's the other two?
I haven't the faintest.
They ran off scared at the first sign of attack. That actually tracks with Jonas really well, so
Yeah.
I feel like you probably believe her.
We're just like, okay, that's
Yep, that's fair. Move on. Cut to Jonas being like, "They'll see I'm gone. They'll come for me. My friends will come for me." And they're like, "Oh yeah, he ran. Okay, yeah, all right. Well, he'll find us."
He's fine.
honest. Like, sidebar here. I was
Yeah.
honestly expecting Jonas to be like, when he got shot by the arrow, or
Yeah.
shot by the arrow, that'd be like, it was a near-death experience, and
Yeah.
he almost died. Like,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
expecting that reaction.
Yeah, yeah. That's also sounds like Jonas. I have seen the gates of heaven open before me. The specter of death, it comes for me. Jonas, you filled one physical stress box. I can see it.
Yep.
I can
Emotional
see death.
stress.
The Grim Reaper.
That emotional stress box.
I will come out the other side of this a better man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well,
Come closer, Vert.
let's cut to Talab. Talab, as you wander off in a daze, the storm starts to abate for now. It'll come back soon. But as that quiet comes upon the forest, you're drawn out of your reverie a little bit. You kind of look up and realize that the birds are chirping again, that the creatures are skittering, and you have absolutely no idea where you are. You're 100% lost. You don't know how long you've been walking or how far. All you know is that there's still marks of these slimes. You're still following this trail, but you can't really see the sun. You don't know what cardinal direction you are. You're completely alone and lost in this forest. And then you hear the voices of men talking to each other all around you in a language you don't understand. They're quizzically talking to each other, and one of them is arguing with another one, and they're just kind of going back and forth. And you see glints of metal and then little pips of light through the tree cover.
I guess I walk over towards the light.
Mhm.
Sure.
There is the sound of scurrying as one of them steps back, but you bump into one of the other ones, seemingly unafraid, and you look at what seems to you to be a human man. He is clothed in dark purple robes, beneath which are glinting these precious metals, as if they're like an acolyte from a
Mhm.
fantastic religion. But amongst these folds and on their arms, you see these devices, these mechanical devices. One of them is wearing one like a jeweler's loop over their eye that is shifting and moving and is clearly mechanical in some way as well. It kind of zooms in on you and zooms out, and you see etchings flash across it and move as if it's examining the environment. It looks at you and asks you a question in the language you don't understand.
I feel like I'm decent at communicating without language. So I just sort of gesture and make like a kind of a gesture.
What? Give it to me. Tell me what it is.
I shrug. I kind of shrug.
Okay.
I point to my ears and
like you clearly don't understand.
Yeah, I make like a number of different kinds of gestures.
Yeah.
Not just one, but just to see if they react to anything.
Yeah. One of them comes up now behind you, and you realize that there's three of them. And talking to the other one, he points at you and gives you this. They're clearly very dismissive of you. They're not afraid of you at all. They're talking about you as if you're definitely something more like an animal. They have no visible weapons. They don't seem like they're antagonistic. They don't seem like they want to defend themselves from you. It tries a couple other languages, none of which you understand, and it kind of shrugs. And one of them, a more burly one, grabs you and snaps a device around your arm that hums almost like it's like a manacle, and starts pulling you along with them, as if like not asking you, not like just as if you're a beast of burden.
I'm gonna. This is just, I think, a gut reaction just to sort of fight this, but almost like I know I'm gonna lose. That kind of. I just struggle, but I'm also just curious as to where they might be taking me. I'm still kind of. I want to say I'm almost in a stupor.
So you're not making a roll. You're kind of like struggling, but you don't want to actually roll.
No, I'm not making an actual.
Okay. Just more apprehensively.
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of. I'm not like willingly. I don't want to feel. I don't want it to look like I'm. Willingly going along, but I'm kind of going along.
Yeah. Okay. So then they kind of, one of them kind of chuckles as you meekly, like as if like, of course this like.
I like pull at the thing. And I'm just like
this creature's too stupid to fight us. One of them kind of laughs and keeps pulling you along. And as you're walking, when it's clear that you're not struggling, they're chuckling as they take their time and they put more of these on you. A collar around your neck, one on the other arm. And as you're just moving with them, it's clear they're laughing at your weakness.
I start laughing along.
This is even more funny to them, and they clap you on the back like, yeah, no, sure, like a sheep being led to the slaughter. Like, it is really funny. It's in this terribly ironic way. You walk for some time, and then you hear more of these voices, and you burst through the cover into what is a forced clearing. There's all the trees have been completely cut down, the grass and everything stripped in this very clean, clearly mechanical circle. And you see this clearing is like, I don't see, 70, 80 feet across. And there's the smell still of burning metal, and you see a wrecked ship. You probably don't have the experience for this, but I'm not interested in being coy. It is a wrecked spaceship. It is very clearly an incredibly advanced starship. And as far as you're concerned, it is simply something of far greater mechanical complexity than anything you've ever seen, and lines up with these strange devices you'd seen lying around.
Yeah.
A bunch of them look at and they kind of wave these other ones over, and they kind of sit you in the middle of the camp and immediately almost like forget about you. Like, you're not important enough to guard, you're not a threat. They start milling about the camp, and you realize that they're gathering materials, and you see one of them has in this giant metal crate that is lined with crackling electricity. It's got you smell that very pungent smell of freshly ripped sage, and you see he's working at some kind of device, and he reaches out his hand, and as he reaches out his hand, the crate kind of opens up to accommodate it, blinking at the same frequency as a device on his wrist. He reaches in, pulls something out. You see that it is a collection of will look like eyeballs and teeth suspended in a gelatinous form, and he puts it into this console type unit, at which point it spreads out and stops moving, and he begins to like peer at it and poking and prodding at various scientific implements, and they're doing something with this, and you see it slowly turn, and the color shifts darker and darker and darker until it is this black, thick, oily substance. The eyes and teeth kind of start to align to form a crude maw, and eyes and roughly in the front for binocular vision. And the thing like roars out and snaps at it, and he just like snaps his fingers, and the electricity on his wrist, his wrist thing buzzes, as well as does the console in the cage, and the creature is shocked and collapses into like gelatinous goo again.
Oh.
And he goes back to tinkering with it. Jonas, you are wandering and following this strange feeling, the song of the tomb that's always playing for you. And as you keep wandering, the song becomes, let's say at first you didn't quite remember it, like you couldn't remember all the words to it, and now it's starting to come back to you. The more you sing it, the more you feel comfortable, the more that you've always known this song. And the harmony is incredibly soothing to you. And you walk through the forest, and the sounds of the crashing rain on the trees are in rhythm with the song. The world around you is in rhythm with this song. This song is true in a profound way. It's only until the rain stops, right around the time it stopped for Talab, of course, that it shakes you out of it a little bit, because there's not that rhythm anymore to match along with this song. And you look around you, and you're equally lost as Talab was, but this isn't concerning to you. You're right where you should be. You hear a voice. It says, "You, singer." It is behind you, this voice. Oh, sorry, let me describe these guys in purple a little better. So they're fairly well stocky, men of stocky build. And by the way, you only see men among them, Talab. They're all, as far as you can tell, male. They all have shaved heads. You know that they're shaved and not bald because some of them have had a little bit of stubble growing back, because maybe they don't have access to a whole lot of equipment around here. And they are completely covered in scarification. And they have intense body modification of all different kinds. As you look around them, you can maybe piece together that these body modifications are ritualistic in some way. You see some similarities. These ones have all their noses done in a certain way. Some of them have their noses cut off. Some have a series of 5 or 6 lip rings. It's clearly religious. You as a wandering doctor know enough to know when you see religious iconography upon the body. Jonas, you see, and they're of all different races and colors. You can't quite track that there's a commonality in region where they come from. Actually, I'm going to take back the stocky part. They're of all different builds, all different sizes, all different races complete. These are not from the same land, and you begin to be pretty sure they're not. Actually, do you know? So you don't know about the multiverse, Talab. So they're all at least from different lands. Jonas, you turn around and you see 3 of these men as well. One of whom is wearing what is like a crown, but you know how the prongs of a crown would stick straight up? These are curved against its head. And you can see there's indentations. Clearly, this thing is embedded into the flesh of his skull. And he's stroking his chin. And he, as he's the one who said to you, singer. His voice has an incredibly resonant quality to it. It's deeply melodious to you.
Have you heard that one before?
He smiles at you. Singer, you are not of the brethren, yet you know the song. Has he spoken to you?
Doesn't he speak to us all?
He furrows his brow. We've not found adherents in this strange land. He speaks to us all, but so few listen and can hear. He turns to his compatriots. These men have not seen the stars. They're apes. And yet, the Leviathan has spoken to this one. And the other one shrugs. The Leviathan's ways are as vast as his appetite. Who are we to question to whom he sings the song? The first one kind of nods his head. It is true. It is true. It is not our place to question. He kind of leans in closer and peers at you. This guy is incredibly tall, so he leans down a little bit and kind of inspects your face. Very curious, but nonetheless, brother, you are welcome. How have you come here to seek the Leviathan?
By his divine will. I question not the plan that he sings across the universe, just walk the path he places in front of me.
They kind of nod to each other. Like, yeah, yep. No, that's true. Yeah. He claps his hand on your shoulder and he says, brother, we have much to show you. Your race is pitiful and stupid. And it's clear that he's saying this and he doesn't take this as an insult. It's simply a fact. Like the way you would talk to a monkey who has just learned English.
So you've met Burke.
Do you say that?
Yes.
Okay. He looks at you and he kind of shrugs it off. But we will show you the path that the Leviathan has shown us. Wonders beyond imagining. Tell me, when you look up at the stars, and as he opens up his hand, you see that his arm is covered in elaborate computerized machinery. Imagine like Xerxes from 300, but all of that is technology. It's this fetishized, incredibly elaborate, ornate, jewel-encrusted computerized equipment. He's almost wearing a suit of it. All of his jewelry is blinking in some way. And he pushes with his hand, and some of the leaves of the trees move aside. And he points up, and what's your world right? Well, it's at a 2. That's enough. He clenches his hand a little bit, flexes it and unflexes it, and you can feel him morph the world ever so slightly.
Dan, I feel like
This one,
I'm sorry. I feel like I would like to. Is there anything beyond the description that you're giving me that I could roll a notice on for these 3 guys as far as, like, does the technology match the thing in my jacket? Does the, is there anything that you may not be giving me that you could be giving me? Because I would like to say I have my mentalist stunt that I can invoke for a gain to notice if we're having mundane conversation.
that's true. Well, he's actually about to give you something explicitly, so you don't need to.
Okay,
To
good.
save you a
Okay.
roll. And the stormy, the now clear skies give way to the starlit black of space. You've seen the night sky in your world, and you've seen the night sky in the grave. The stars are of all different colors. It's the main difference in the grave. And instead of the Milky Way, you see the streams of god blood and the wreckages of those worlds. What he is showing you is a brief window into the grave. And he says, have you seen a sky like this, brother? Clearly expecting you to say no, because you're like a crude ape man who has only just now been blessed by the voice of the Lord.
But hold on. So, is that something I would recognize? Like you're saying, the specific vision and constellation / star / whatever.
Yeah, and again, not a vision. He really opens up a very small window to the grave,
Right.
which looks very different than the normal nights. So, and he is asking you if you've ever seen that in the tone of, "Tell me, princess, have you ever let your heart decide?" Like, knowing the answer is no. You've never seen wonders like this.
Oh.
From which you can easily glean that, like, these guys are travelers of the grave, and he's assuming you're not.
Then no. I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but I have been told of their beauty, and that you would be the one to show me.
He nods, like that is, he's increasingly impressed by the clarity with which you're able to extol the truths of the Leviathan. And he closes the window, and it clearly costs him great effort to do that. Even though these guys are experienced in the ways of the grave, you having done similar feats when you were in the grave itself, you can recognize that, like, they've done this a lot, but these guys aren't inherently much more powerful or much more knowledgeable than us in our travels. They're wielding incredible technology, but it doesn't seem like this guy is some grand magician. He's just a man who's learned some things about the... You're pretty sure you're on par with him in that respect. Although what this Leviathan is, I'm sure you have no idea. And he nods and he says, "Come with us, brother. Our ship," he thinks how to say this, "our ship, your ships travel the sea, but ours can travel the stars."
I'm now reconciling how Verk feels.
Yeah.
I am gaining an empathy.
Yeah.
That I did not once have. And a little tongue in cheeky, but I definitely say this. I definitely say something to the effect of, let me think about this for a second. But oh, so you have a grand ship with lights.
Yes, with lights. And this ship is a machinery of magnificent construction, much greater than your planks of wood and cloth sails. This is made of metal, and he like kind of clanks on something on his arm, like a sword, but a vast ship of it that can travel beyond anything you've ever seen. Come with us, and brother, we will show you the way.
Sure.
All right. So you walk off with these guys. They start leading you to something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
do I get any indication that they are malicious, or that there is some sort of
Not towards you.
malintent? Yeah, I kind of got that, like, they're on that I gained favor with them. So
Sure, but let's put it this way: you've known enough creepy cultists in your life. We're not going to say how you've known them. We're not going to get into the specifics. That these guys are giving off that creepy cultist vibe hard.
yes,
Yeah.
which
So,
I am
like,
perfectly fine going along with.
Right. Okay. So no, they don't seem malicious towards you. Like, they don't seem like they're going to like put you in a pot back at camp or anything.
Right. No. So yeah, I go with them.
Cool. So as you guys are walking, you see they are plucking leaves from the trees, and one of them scoops down and picks up a creature. The creature runs away from it, and it activates a device on its wrist, and the creature stops, clearly paralyzed by some force, and it comes over and grabs it. It's a small little rabbit, and he looks at it, and these like almost Iron Man style, a glove, like a half glove, pops out of the device, covers his hand, and on each of the fingers is a pretty wicked claw that looks more like a scalpel. And he just kind of like cuts open this living animal and peels the skin off and peels open and looks inside of it, shows it to his friend, and he goes, as if like, in this one, the spleen is located here. Fascinating. And then just tosses the mutilated animal, still barely twitching and alive, into the bushes. Jonas, I know, isn't lawful good or anything, but he's not a psychopath. How does he react to this like small creature just being like brutally cut while still alive and then tossed aside?
Oh, is the Leviathan telling you to do that, or?
they look at him. All is in service of the Leviathan. All knowledge we gain is in service of his will.
Gentlemen, let me tell you, the Leviathan has put me here. I can guarantee for at least one thing, if not to gaze upon the stars and see your ship and learn a greater truth. It's to introduce you to the brew of all brews. Potions of all potions.
Oh boy. They look and look at you. One of them starts to scoff, and then his attendant says, "There is truth in all worlds. Fragments of them that the Leviathan has scattered from the great consumption. In the sundering of the worlds, in the great devouring of Drees, is it not said that the Leviathan scattered truth to all the corners of the stars?" And he nods. "Speak, ape." And the guy says, "Sorry, ape, brother. Speak, brother. What is this potion of all potions?"
It's the essence of divinity. It's embracing the presence of the Leviathan and touching the face in a respectful, servitory manner.
You speak of hallucinogen, and the guy gives him the he doesn't know that word. A potion that lets you see beyond sight.
Yes.
A hallucinogen, yes, of course. He speaks of a crude psychotropic, in fact, probably derived from local flora and fauna, which he ferments in some path. And we have something of the like, but we are eager to see your truth as well, brother. When we return to camp, you must show us this sight water.
Yes. Yeah. I call it prayer juice. Mm-hmm.
Prayer juice. An interesting term.
Fresh squeezed Leviathan.
Fresh squeezed Leviathan. You notice, by the way, I'm gonna actually give me a notice roll. I'm gonna let you use your mentalist stunt here.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
That's a 6.
So, yeah. Wow. So you pick up a lot of shit from this. Wow. It's a little more than I was hoping for. Okay. So you learn a couple important things. The Leviathan is always spoken of in the a lot like Jesus Christ in this sense. He died and is coming back. So we don't speak of him necessarily in the past tense as in he's long gone, but he's dead, but we still serve him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, his word is recorded and and will come back at some point.
Right. So the Leviathan is dead, but will come again. They are serving the Leviathan, who is the great... You're trying to pick up... He ate some worlds, perhaps? He definitely ate a bunch of gods. You're certain about this. He objectively ate a bunch of gods, and that is somehow true and correct. Gods are bad. They are all false gods. The Leviathan is the only true god. They don't even use the word god. The word god is reserved for its equivalent of saying false idol for them. He is the only true being, and he exists to devour gods. He devoured them, but in their cruelness and trickery, he was destroyed. He is coming back to complete his work. of devouring all the gods to bring the world as it should be, and these, his followers, will be his servants in this new godless world and be risen up into a high place. And the standard kind of cultist, like, when my god comes back, he definitely won't like eat my flesh. He'll make me like a super being.
Mm-hmm.
It's that you've heard tale as old as time. You've seen that 100 times. And they do have some incredible technology, and you also gather that these guys are not from a specific world. They are a collection of travelers from across the stars. At some point, there's some talk of a great prophet, some high priest who maybe started this. You're not quite sure. He doesn't seem like he's here. But these are a group of cultists that have traveled across the stars and picked up adherents, those who have heard the Song of the Leviathan along the way, of which you are now one of them. You're a little lower on the tech level than they were prepared to, you're not someone that they expected to have heard the call of the Leviathan, but stranger things have happened. Be able to glean this kind of crude religious tenets from this, so enough that you're no longer in danger of making crucial mistakes. Like, hey, you guys heard the Leviathan is still alive, right? Like, you're not
right.
saying stuff like that. You're able to pick that up.
Question: Am I able to tell if the tech? So, I have a magical understanding to a certain point. I have a 2 in magic. Am I able to suss out that the things that they are doing that may seem magical is really tech-driven?
Yeah, so you're confident these guys, if we were to put it into fate terms, they're not rolling magic. They're rolling tech, and if anything, world right or grave wise.
Okay.
They're using some of the divine morphism, like the straight force of will. Because this world is suspended in the grave, it's possible at great, with great effort to use some grave magic on it. But by and large, it's all tech.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
You actually get the impression that these guys think of magic as a tool of the gods, and thus is pretty heretical. Like straight magic, like spells of the normal kinds of spells you would see are pretty heretical. You guys continue on, and you arrive at a camp, and you see in this camp Talab. Talab, the one of the cultists. I'm assuming, by the way, that you're not doing anything because you're still in this stupor. Correct me if I'm wrong. That you haven't gotten up and tried to leave or escape, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of them come over to you, and again, you don't understand their language at all. And they speak, they kind of point at you, and they point at their device, and they look at something, and they look back at the ship, and they kind of nod. And you see one of them pulls out of his robe a long, thin ceremonial knife, and grabs your forehead and kind of pushes you as if he's going to lay you down onto the ground in the middle of this campsite. As he's doing that, a couple of the other ones are walking around him, planting these long, thin metal stakes into the earth and drawing a symbol around you.
Can I intervene here?
Hold on, you're gonna come in at a certain point here.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't try to stop them?
I mean,
it's fine. I just want to know either way.
Not like it. No, I mean,
okay.
He just kind of is trying to communicate to them still.
Yeah,
in a somewhat passive way, almost like he actually starts taking the jar of slime out.
Yeah,
and he shows them this, and he points over at the cage. Takes other different kinds of healing things that he's had, his journal, things like that, and he's showing them. He's like, "Look, I'm intelligent. Right. I can be your friend. Talk to me. I want to learn."
They don't even respond. One of them looks at the jar and kind of cocks an eyebrow. Otherwise, continues drawing this symbol and planting these stakes. When you keep talking, you don't shut up. One of them just kind of flicks his wrist, and a jolt shoots through your collar and all of the bands that are on you. You now realize that they are these. It's like a shock collar, and it flattens you on your back, and you kind of sees for a little bit. You come in right as you hear him talking, and his language, Frats, or Jonas, sounds strange to you. It takes you a couple seconds to realize he's speaking Common, a language you also speak. And at that point, you realize that's not what you've been speaking this whole time. You've been speaking a completely different language, unknown to you.
Okay.
And you hear Talab say, "No, I also know. I've captured one of these slimes. I can be your friend. I can." And then he flicks his wrist, and you hear the shock, and some spittle dribbles out of Talab's mouth as he is seizing now on the ground. Again, you know a lot about cults. You don't quite know what's going on here, but it looks a whole lot like a ritual sacrifice.
So I think I would snap into, in recognizing him and kind of hearing what's going on, snap into action, and similarly to C-3PO coming back from the Ewoks, naming him the Lord of their land.
Yeah.
Come back and be like, oh, no. I'm not sure if you guys went through the same vetting process or anything, but Talab's a friend here. He helped teach me the Song of Tombs. Yes.
So you know enough. I'm going to let your mentalist ride. You know enough to not call it the Song of the Tomb. Because Tomb is the name of a god.
Well, right. The hymn of the Leviathan.
They look at him and back to you. They speak. One of them holds up his hand, and the one of the cults with the knife pulls the knife back, and he leans over, and he says, in this strange language you don't understand, Talab, he asks you a question. You don't know what he's saying. I assume you respond in Common or not at all.
Did Jonas said it? I assume in their language too.
He did, yes.
Okay. What does their language Jonas now sound like to me?
It's just a foreign tongue. It's just not of this world.
Is there something that I could roll to try to emulate it? A sound that maybe he just made, Jonas, when he was referring to me?
Oof. You could try. Let's see what do you have? Well, so that's pushing it. I think you might be able to cast a spell.
Craft magic.
It's either going to be magic or lore.
Lore. Magic
would be like if you have the equivalent of the D&D spell tongues or something like that. Lore would be like, I am just going to I'm well traveled. I'm able to mimic sounds pretty well. I'm going to hope I can just repeat the last thing that my friend Jonas said and hope it works.
I want to invoke Don't Overthink It.
Okay.
And it's going to be a lore, actually, I think.
Okay. And I like that aspect a lot because you're not trying to solve the puzzle. You're just like, what's that sound? I make the same sound.
It's just trying to recreate what Jonas basically was when he was talking. They were all kind of looking at him, and then they looked at me.
And I think as I said, friend, I tapped him on his shoulder, this is a friend, and so he's trying to maybe mimic exactly that syllable or whatever.
Yeah, well, actually, this is even better. The last thing you actually said was "Song of the Leviathan."
Oh, right.
So he's going to try to repeat that phrase. So Teddy, you rolled a 0, but you have a 2 in lore and a 2 because you're invoked, so a 4 total, which is a great. I'm going to say you make it. You repeat that exact phrase, "Hymn of the Leviathan," in this strange tongue, and the guy with the knife steps back, and the other one, they look back at each other. This creature, and he says, he's speaking to you now, Jonas. He taught you the song. Oh, sorry, Ted. I already did the truth.
I'm sorry. I'll change it back.
I'm sorry. I should have told you I was doing it.
I wasn't paying attention to that.
He taught it to you? But look at him. He can barely speak the tongue.
I know this sounds weird, but in our travels, he's been singing it in his sleep, and so he doesn't even know.
I can't believe you're pulling this off, but it works. That's
the Leviathan has come to him in his dreams, and when he awakes, he doesn't even know. But now I have this beautiful melody that I'm able to understand the world.
I'm going to need you to give me deceive. It's a good excuse, but we're pushing credulity a little bit for them.
I want
so
to give him something for this.
sure.
And I'm looking at each of their faces, and I clutch Rashida's token, and I start repeating what I had just said before because it seems like they're reacting to it.
Yeah.
And I just sort of close my eyes, and I want to give him a bonus.
Well, so what you're going to do is you're going to roll to create an advantage for him.
Okay.
You're going to roll to put an aspect in play or a boost, depending on how well you roll. What are you going to roll me for this?
Me separately?
Ooh.
No, I'm talking to Talab.
Rapport?
He's creating an advantage. All right, rapport works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're not repeating the phrase you were able to mimic earnestly and sincerely.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking at them like trying to make a connection here.
Right. All right. Well, you have the stunt. You remind me of her. +2 empathy or rapport at will, but only once per session.
Yes.
Okay. So roll me that rapport at a +2. So a total of a +5.
Okay.
This is going to be an ob 2.
Ooh.
So that's a 4.
4. Yeah.
Okay.
So you make it. If you're able to put one more point in this, you can succeed with style, and put an aspect into play with a free invoke.
Can I burn my last? That was a burn, correct?
No, that stunt does not cost. Stunts only cost fate if they say they do.
Okay. So yeah, I want to burn a truth.
For what? What aspect?
For ooh. Let's see. Would the scene aspect, does this scene have its own? We have not established any scene aspects for this, correct?
Nothing right now. No.
Okay.
I'm actually going to cut ambushed from the trees.
What about the world aspect?
Sure.
Crucible of flesh and spirit.
Yeah. It's you are literally about to be human sacrifice.
Yeah.
And if you emerge, you're going to try to emerge from this with either a greater knowledge and having successfully wormed your way into their confidence, or you are literally going to die.
And I am also fighting this scent that's in the background, kind of lingering.
Yeah.
This, so I'm in that sort of trouble still, but
Sure.
that helps to add to that.
Yeah. Okay. So you invoke a crucible of flesh and spirit. You burn another truth.
All right, I'll note that there. Done.
Okay. And that puts you at a +2. So what was your total? You rolled a 5.
It was a 4.
7.
I think it was a 4.
You rolled
He rolled a -1.
Rolled a -1.
He had a +5, so that was a 4 total.
Yeah.
And you said it was against a 2, so he needed 1 point at least to get a style.
Right.
So he has a total of a 6 against a 3, which is a succeed with style. So Ted, I want you to make up an aspect with a free invoke on it. What's the name of the aspect?
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Strange new. No, I can't think of that.
Well, that's okay. Well, what the aspect is trying to do is you're trying to convince them that of this truth, that you are an adherent to the Leviathan, but maybe you don't quite know. You believe the same thing as them, but maybe you don't have the same language to express it in. So you are a crude but a man of like belief.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to put that under yours, Talab.
Yeah,
a man of like belief. This has 1 free invoke. What that means is, and this now you're seeing the you guys hopefully can see the power of create advantage. Not only is there a free invoke on this that Jonas can now use to just straight up get a +2. It's also just an aspect that now exists. It's there. He now has the option to pay fate to invoke it like any other aspect. And he has another avenue of bonus generation. Does that make sense? So Jonas, you have a free invoke. You can pull that on that if you want to roll for this deceive. I assume you want to add that +2.
Yeah, sure.
So you're rolling this to overcome an obstacle. Roll me that deceive, and I'm going to go ahead and take off the free invoke. Oop, I didn't even put it on there. I'm on the wrong page. A man of like belief. The free invoke. So what's the total bonus to your deceive?
Well, it's currently at a +5.
With the free invoke?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to roll against a 3. Actually, I'm going to roll. What skill am I going to use? What would it be to go against deceive? Investigate? Let me pull this up real quick.
Or notice.
Yeah. Notice.
I rolled a 16.
Damn. Okay. Empathy is actually what opposes deceit. So I'm going to have an empathy roll. I'm going to roll it at a +2. Total of 2, and you had a total of 6.
Yep.
You also succeed with style. You get to go ahead and put an aspect with the free invoke in place here. What's your aspect?
Um.
One of us.
Yeah, I mean,
I was tinkering with suggesting this for Talab's. I would like to say it's syllable simpatico.
ooh, okay.
It's the ability that Ted doesn't know the language permanently or anything, but he could maybe grab it to use that language one more time, or try to repeat a word to continue to gain.
Well, I like that, but the reason I don't think it works for this is you're explicitly rolling deceive. This is a roll with intention to convince this person that you're telling the truth, that this final gambit is accurate. I don't know that it helps Talab at all. Like, I don't know that this lie, by lying very, very well to this guy, I don't know that gives Talab any more indication. We've already proved that he can mimic the sounds you're making.
Oh, okay.
I think Verk has it on the head. One of us, something like that. Like, they now believe, as long as aspect is in play, they're never going to question it again. Like, you are definitely telling the truth. You are also, you and he are both adherents of the Leviathan. Because that's the goal of the deceive, right? That, like, don't kill this guy, he's like me, and we're followers of the Leviathan.
I would say the part that if I rolled successfully enough to do it with style, maybe it's not just the suggestion that I learned the song from him, but maybe that has a different meaning to them. Maybe somebody who teaches songs is of a higher caste.
I like it. No, because we're world building now too. Okay, because
Right?
yeah, this is a great example because you guys have as much power to influence this cult as I do. So I think that's fair. So this cult, we're now going to say that they believe that it's one thing to learn the truths of the Leviathan, but to be someone who can teach others the song through dreams, even if his crude ape brain like isn't evolved enough to know what he's talking about, like he's a savant, right? So I'm going to put the aspect in play on Talab. I'm going to put I'm going to put savant of the song with 2 free invokes on it. So Talab, you have that. They believe that you guys are adherents of Leviathan, and Talab, you have 2 free invokes on Savant of the Song, and you have the aspect of Man of Like Belief. Actually, I'm gonna replace Man of Like Belief. I think this is an upgraded version of that. So you just have Savant of the Song. So not only do you believe what they believe, but you also are maybe more in touch with it than they are, or so they believe. And Jonas, you already have the Song of the Tomb, so they already believe that you're one of them. Davros and Verk, you guys keep forging ahead in this jungle. and the storm starts to roll in and then quiets. And as it quiets, you hear the birds chirping and the creatures of the forest come up again. And you come across a couple mutilated animal carcasses, as if cut apart by incredibly sharp implements. The sailors once again pull out their holy symbols and cross themselves, and one of them begins cursing to the sky. Where we are in, this is a dark place. The spirits haunt even the animals themselves. Look at them pulled apart like as if by great teeth. This is a foul place, and we should leave it soon.
Davros will go up to the captain, and kind of under his breath, not spoken out loud so anyone else can hear it. If Ferk is there, he doesn't care. But to her, he'll say, Captain, this we've never come across before, so we're starting to get into uncharted territory here. I don't mean to bring any further alarm that, the crew would take from us, not knowing what we're about to walk into here.
Just make it quick, gentlemen. Let's find this mast and go home. We have no need to be here any longer. Then we absolutely must.
So, Verx loves the small fluffy things.
Uh-huh.
Would
That's
these
right.
be like furry creatures, or would they just be
They
like?
are. No, they're little small and fluffy. They're little cute little bunnies.
So he's going to recall a cruel sign you will not like.
Mm-hmm.
Is this any indication, like, looking back to, is this any indication of what we're not supposed to go toward, or?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Like, I'm asking Davros. Because, I mean, that's how he sees it. Like, he just sees a, like, cruel to
Yeah.
animals kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he just, like,
He's
he's taking at the face word.
yeah, I got
He
you.
sees something cruel.
She's
and
saying
so
to Davros, is this the cruel sign that we will not like? Is this the thing that the navigator warned us about?
Yes.
It could be the start of it, friend. It could be the start of it. But we have seen.
Yeah, I'm assuming you said we have seen worse, so you cut out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And plus, you still need your self-defined Jonas and Talab. So Verk, I'm going to say that you're on guard here. I like that aspect. Do you want to put something in play? Do you want to put like an aspect that builds off of that? Maybe like are you enraged by this, or are you simply more alert because of it?
I would say he's going to be out to look for who did this.
Okay.
Who could be this mean to butcher these cute and fluffy creatures?
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and roll me a create advantage
Okay.
against an ob 1, and roll me will.
2.
Okay. 2 on a +1, you beat it. I'm going to put an aspect in play here on you. Vengeance for...
Make sure it's in the right tab.
Oh, yes, because it's not.
And
Vengeance for the bunnies. You did not succeed with... Actually, yeah, you didn't succeed with... No, you still get 1 free. So, use it as you will. As you guys keep moving slowly now, more carefully through the underbrush, there's a point at which you come across a another one of these ruined campsites filled with more carcasses of animals, and one of the sailors just screams and runs off back towards the ship, just completely loses their composure. This is too much for him. The other sailors look shaken, and the captain shouts off a warning. The man doesn't turn. She pulls out her gun and fires. It hits him right in the back. The sailor falls to the ground dead. She just turns around with the still smoking gun in her hand, and she says, "We are here together, and we leave together. No man leaves the crew until we put ashore or they are put in the water." She loads it again. "Keep on." And you guys keep going now. One captain and only 2 men are left.
Oh wow, there's only that many.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. You guys came here with the captain and 3 men. I changed it because it felt weird to have it be, at that point it's weird to keep track of. So
I was gonna say I was under the impression that there was like at least like 10 to 20 people.
Yeah, that's what I had said last time. There was just 3 men and her.
I was like, damn, a lot of them died of arrows.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna say there's only 1 left because 1 of them did die to arrows, and 1 of them just ran off and was shot. So there's 1 shaky, terrified sailor left, the captain and you guys. I'm going to play on Captain Rilo's aspect. Luck on her side. You guys are walking, and it just so happens that the conversation lulls, and as you approach the landing site, as you're following this trail of carcasses and campsites, you approach it right as Jonas' voice is raised as he pitches his deceive to the cultist, and he's calling out in this strange tongue you don't understand, but it's clearly Jonas's voice, and so your presence is not noticed. You just see and smell the smoke coming from up ahead, and you just kind of peek through the foliage, and you see this vast circle with the ship crash in it, and this makeshift camp here with these cultists, and you see Jonas. I'm going to say that as you're doing this, like you have like 1 foot up on like a tree stump. You're like pontificating, and give me like the last sentence of this like big deception that you succeeded with, like 4 points of style.
And so you see, it is with his grace that we are but one with the grave.
You're at the point at the end where like you're not saying anything of actual meaning, but they're enthralled and they're like, yes, amen, absolutely, like we agree. You're at the conclusion of the sermon where the crowd will just clap for anything. And you guys see him, and Jonas, as you finish, you look your eyes just to the left of the cultist, right behind them, and you see Davros and Verk peering out through the tree line.
Friends! Brothers!
Oh my god!
I am ducking behind the tree as
Okay.
soon as I see him. You know when you kind of look at someone and you make eye contact and you know they're about to do something stupid?
Yep.
I'm going to get behind a tree and immediately invoke Second Story Thief and climb up.
Okay. What? Don't even worry about invoking it because I'm not doing any opposition here. So you don't have to use one of those free invokes. You just start climbing it. When you're opposed, I'll make sure to call that in. Verk, what do? You see Davros just hard bail.
Is there bushes in front of me, or
there are? But also, you see, this is literally right where the guy has that wicked curved knife, and you see that in this circle there are previous indications of ritual sacrifice sites with a bunch of mutilated animals in them.
So I'm pretty much just seeing like an outline of red around me with the tunnel vision toward him.
Yeah. Yep.
So probably completely oblivious to what Jonas is like. I don't even hear what he's saying.
Yep.
I just see him.
Yep.
But because we haven't made an indication to leave, I'm gonna stay put. But it's one of those things that like I'm kind of readying. Like, if we're gonna be in a fight, I'm
Yeah.
going at him.
Okay. Not at Jonas, the guy Jonas is talking to.
The guy with the knife.
Um, so I'm going to say that, but you're not hiding, right?
No, I am completely. What, I don't know the term for it. Just, I guess, just tunnel vision on that
You're
guy.
just standing
Like,
there seething.
Yeah.
Okay, so the lead cultist turns. By the way, we should name this guy. And he's given you his name by now. Do you give him your name as Jonas?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what's this guy's name? What's the lead cultist? High profile.
Brecken.
Reckon?
Brecken with a B.
Brecken. So Prophet Brecken turns and sees Verk, just this hulking dude, just his chest heaving and seething as he's staring at him with death in his eyes. And he turns back to you and he says, "You know this man?"
He turns back to me, Jonas.
Yeah.
Oh, but of course. And the ape that's in the trees up there.
Oh, wow. Davros, so you point at the trees. Davros, roll me stealth. You can invoke Second Story Thief on this one. We'll see what you roll first. You may not need it.
Yeah.
+1. What's your stealth?
That'd be a 3 total.
A 3 total. All right, I'm going to roll against my notice here. Three, exactly. So if you want to beat me, you're going to need to burn a... Well, no, you have a free invoke on Second Story Thief.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, okay. So I'll drop it down to 1. He doesn't see where you're pointing.
So with that, he doesn't see.
Well, he sees, but Davros is completely hidden. So when you point at the ape, he doesn't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
And at
that's-
this point, at
that's
this
fine.
point, I would like Jonas to have to oppose my stealth rolls too.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Davros actually, yeah, I'll even say this. Davros, with Second Story Thief, the way you hide is you like nimbly climb to a different tree. So even if they
That's how I
investigate,
viewed it, like jumping
Yeah.
from rooftop
Yeah.
to rooftop.
yeah. So he's not even there anymore. You don't even see.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, these are members of my choir, if you will. These are other voices of the Leviathanical? I say that literally. Jonas
Right,
says
right.
that, and I'm sure it evokes these guys are lesser brained.
Yeah. Like they mean really well, but they're basically apes.
And so I slowly get between, because I'm hoping, both knowing Verk and that aspect that is part of his character and having traveled with him for so long, I would notice that he's seething at this guy standing over these little woodland creatures, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's fine.
So
We can establish a basic rule of thumb that, not explicitly, but everyone is more or less aware of everyone's aspects, like
Okay.
their base character aspects. Real quick, sir, Talab. So they at this they take all the collar and the ornaments off of you and stand you up and like embrace you as a brother and pull you out of this what is probably a dangerous summoning circle. By the way, all of the like the stakes in the ground are like lit and blinking. So whatever they were going to do, it's still prepped,
Beautiful.
but like they
I want
pull-
to. I mimic the last thing that Jonas just said about the Leviathaness.
Yeah, okay. And they give you
Ew.
like, oh, okay, all right, you're trying. And they kind of pull you over towards them, and everyone's kind of gathered around you at this point. So Jonas, continue.
So I get between Verk and the guy with the curved knife, and as I pass the guy with the curved knife, I put my hand on his shoulder, and as I'm kind of explaining who this group of people are, and I'm assuming, I'm going to make an assumption, but please tell me, am I able to see the captain and the last crew member?
Yes, but they're already starting to like circle around. Like the captain has her gun drawn. She is ready for a fight, and she
Okay.
doesn't look like the brethren have noticed them,
Okay. So
unless you point them out.
that's fine. So, I slide my hand down his like I give him the reassuring touch on the shoulder, and as I'm walking past him, I slide my arm down his shoulder, and to the knife, and give the slightest of tugs to see if he's willing to allow the knife to go, having now found a trusting relationship in me. Not
Interesting.
clearly not to pull away and immediately stab him. I'm not making
Right,
any
right.
malicious whatever. I'm just trying to, and from a meta standpoint, I'm trying to disarm him so that Verk can feel just a little bit more at ease about what he thinks he may be seeing.
Okay. I'm going to ask you guys a question. What is the holy number for this cult of the Leviathan?
11.
I like 11.
I like 11.
Yeah, we like 11. Okay, so there are 11 cultists.
There's 11 cultists.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what
Yeah,
you're
I was
up against.
gonna
There are
say
11
4.
cultists. Well, I'm sorry, you should have spoken out so loud. You guys picked 11. Go. So there are 11. So we know there are 11. If it comes down to it, there are 11 of
7
them.
Dead and
Right. No,
Or
11 cultists.
living.
It turns out, so every time a ship departs on this, like from this cult, the crew is always exactly 11 because that's their holy number. So we fleshed out a little bit of this cult.
Maybe 8 of them have died in the
So-
crash.
No, I think that none of them have died in a crash. You know what
So
I'll
if I'm-
do? Hold on. I will let one person roll and just like a luck roll, and the just base, and then whatever number it is, that's how many people have died in the crash. If it's 0 or a negative, then no one died.
I
I'll do
vote
that.
Ted. I vote Ted. He's been rolling well.
Is luck a stat? Like a
No.
skill?
I'm
No.
just saying. That.
Oh,
Ted.
yes.
Roll.
Okay.
Word.
2 of them died in the crash. There are 9 cultists.
Then.
So if what you're telling me, if I'm not mistaken, I'm doing the math here, then we only need to kill 2 of them to join them on the journey.
kill.
If this fucking thing, if this fucking shit ends with you guys joining the cultists and leaving this world on a spaceship, I'm gonna lose my mind.
All right, we have a new goal.
So,
Oh my god.
Session 3, we
Oh
found the
my
cathedral.
God.
Hey, it's weird.
Oh
Can't wait to see those aspects.
no. Okay. Well, okay. Okay. So you grab. I'm gonna say that guy just like he just gives it to you. He like hands
Yeah.
you the knife.
Yeah.
Clearly, you're ready to like do an act here, and Brother Brecken, or the Prophet Brecken, looks at you and says, "Call your friend forward. We are few in number." Oh, he says, "We are few in number, and the Leviathan has shown us 2 brethren to reach our sacred total." And he points at you and to Lob. Regretfully, again, like a man telling a child to put down his puppy, we have no room for another. And he points at Verk.
On the pointing to me,
Yes.
again, just that single focused. I now see him disarmed.
Yeah.
Let us sacrifice.
It's not so much of a rush.
Mhm.
He's still in kind of like that slow motion,
Yep.
like infuriating rage within, seething rage within. He's just gonna like Michael Myers walk, just
Yep.
like slowly, one step at a time, just
Yep.
kind of hunched over, head in,
Mhm.
locked eyes onto this guy.
Yep.
And start walking toward him.
Okay.
So I point the knife at Verk, but from a distance away, like not threateningly, just as a pointing tool. And I point towards Verk, and I say, "This is Brother Verk, another believer, and Davros in the trees, one of the apes." I'm pointing at the old tree, like he's still not up
Right.
there. But
Right.
Davros of the trees, one of the apes, who's also heard the song and knows how to sing it. And then I turn and point towards Captain Rilo and the crew member and go, but these two don't know of the song.
Simple.
And Captain Rilo prays to a god of luck.
Oh my god. Okay, so all right.
Wow.
And all
So
of this is because, and listen, Jonas isn't doing this because
Right.
because he knows of a secret whatever. Jonas is doing this because he knew something was weird when she didn't want to come with him to back up Talab.
Okay.
There was a weird moment there that she didn't want to help back them up, or that
Yeah.
that she didn't know what was
No,
going
yeah.
on.
I made it explicitly where it's almost like she pretended she didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you want Talab and Davros with you. They're friends. The captain and the other guy are not. That still puts, if you want to pitch it to them, that still puts your total at 13.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have to hope 2 cultists die somehow.
Somehow.
Oh. Let's okay. This is a really good spot to end because it's 10 o'clock, or 10:10. I know we started a little bit late, but this is a good example of like you guys might want to talk off stream, as it were, to put together some kind of a plan because this is running by the seat of your pants and it's great. But I don't know how you guys want to play this out. If you want it to be a brawl or if you want to end this, however, the 4 of you should probably be on the same page because the last thing I want is like a bunch of cool stuff happens and it ends with like, oh, I ended up fucking up your plan because I was doing something totally different and it ended up being not as cool as we wanted. So does that sound fair? You guys like in between sessions maybe talking like what are we going for here? What's the get? Like what's the goal?
Yeah, Dan, as
that
that last scene happened, I'm getting a lot of Discord notifications.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah. So you guys should probably talk about that and figure out what you're going to do, the 4 of you.
So we're leaving it at I've claimed those 2 as friendly and those 2
yeah,
as
and
not.
those 2, she follows the god of luck and she's a heretic, so we'll end it there. And you're gonna these like she's a good person, like she's tough but fair, and you're gonna fucking murder her.
She just fucking shot her crew member in the back.
First of all, you don't know that, and second of all,
Yeah.
she needs to keep order amongst her crew.
Amongst the never mind, go ahead.
She has to keep the other one in
The
check.
other one in check.
She's
Okay,
just hoping he stays alive so that he can report back and
you're right.
tell everyone else.
God damn it. Okay. We'll end it there, and next week, same bad time, same bad channel. We'll see what plan you guys have. I want to see a solid, interesting, coordinated plan. Is that fair? Is that a fair request?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right, guys. Good session.
Cool.
And make sure at the next, I'll go ahead and you can go ahead on your sheets and make sure you reset your refresh. Refresh always goes back to 3, even if you have more than 3. So Jonas, you go back down to 3. You didn't fucking spend any. You're still at 4.
Yeah.
Who's closest to Davros? Davros and Todd. You guys are both at 4, so you're almost halfway to being able to put in a world aspect, which is nice. Cool. All right, guys. Good session, and I'll catch you all on the flip.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Session.
Peace.
Yeah. Okay. I could do AFK. I'm not AFK, obviously, but anyway, thank you everybody, whoever tuned in and checked us out. So that was our second full episode of A Needle Made of Thread, the Heliotrope Cathedral. So I hope you guys enjoy some of the tension and character building we've been going through there. I think I gave us a little bit of a sticky wicket at the end there. We will try to continue to do Sundays at least until football season if this campaign continues that long. I think as the NFL season September-ish. We may want to talk to the guys about a different schedule, but right now, I know tomorrow is the Memorial Day holiday. Thank you for everybody's service, and um, obviously it's a day of remembrance and um, reverence, I guess, if you will. But I want to thank everybody for that, and the reason that we're celebrating. But for us actually to start off on the Sunday, where most of us I think have off on work the following day, a little bit easier. So 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're hoping to do a pretty consistent thing on Sundays now. So thanks for tuning in. Again, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch here, follow the link to the Discord. If you guys want to chat with us or find out what's going on or get any updates. At the very least, I tell you all when we're going live on Twitter, if not update the schedule and aspects. I appreciate it very much. We hopefully see you guys next week for the next episode. See how the whole party comes together, like Dan said, and comes up with a plan for the situation we're in. All right.